Hi, everybody. Welcome all to the first edition, the first season of Good Ads Matter Roundtable. And I am actually really thrilled to be moderating this because A, meeting so many friends, all of you, and B, you guys are actually amongst the best in the Indian advertising today. So no better than you people to today debate, discuss, possibly explore what's been making Indian advertising great in the past so many years, and more importantly, exploring ways to continue to make it better, because as you know, how fast the landscape is changing in terms of digital coming in, AI coming in. So there's a lot to discuss today, But before we start to do that, although I know all of you, but I think for the sake of the audience, small introductions are required. So I'll start with Adarsh Atal. So Adarsh Atal is the Chief Creative Officer of Tilt Brand Solutions. You spent your time, a long time with Low Lintas earlier, Mullen Low. Adarsh has been doing some really exciting work on brands like Dream11, PhonePe. There's so much of celeb advertising happening in India, as you all know, right? But what Adarsh you've been able to do is to do some really interesting, exciting advertising that features celebs, but great use of celebs,
Thank you so much.
So we'll come to that
Great coming from
later.
you.
Yeah. And next is Preeti Vyas. Preeti, you were my senior at NID. Yeah. And Preeti is actually a kind of a design maestro. And Preeti is also actually the first person who bridged design, who brought design thinking and design sensibilities into advertising in a really big way. Way back when you graduated.
That's true.
Do we get to hear some NID stories from you guys?
Oh yeah, sure. As I was saying, you were really instrumental in bridging design and advertising. So from founding your consultancy, Vyas Genetic Creative, way back in 1997, to shaping India's, in a way, design landscape. You also serve as an independent director on the boards of Century Textiles and ABRFL. So thank you, Preeti, for being here today.
It's a pleasure being here. It's terribly exciting.
And some stories, NID stories we'll share.
Please. Yeah.
Okay, so PG Aditya is actually a creative dynamo, co-founder of Talented.
Blushing.
And former chief creative officer of Dentsu Webchutney, a multi-award winner. He's been actually flying India's flag high in many of these international award shows like Cannes Lions, One Show, and an agency based in Bangalore, which is Dentsu Webchutney Bangalore, was the Cannes Creative Agency of the Year, which means the highest awarded agency at Cannes
in the world.
2022, which is absolutely amazing. Many stories to come from you, Aditya. And now we go on to Devaiah Bopanna, an engineer turned writer who he transitioned from being a copywriter to actually leading a comedy revolution, if I may say, with AIB. And now is the co-founder of Moonshot, which is a content studio with campaigns like Cred and the recent one, which was Bold Care, which is a huge viral hit. And now my friend Sukesh. Sukesh is a creative powerhouse of an agency. So he's a CCO at Ogilvy, along with Kenaz and Harshad. They've been steering Ogilvy to newer glory, more glorious heights, as if Ogilvy was already there, but they're taking it further up there.
What you guys started.
Thank you. So you won, I think, over 300 awards across festivals.
Yeah. I mean, not counted, but it's been 2 decades of,
Wow.
But what I liked was, I think you told me, and all I was reading is somewhere, that beside the fact that he's won 300 awards, or over 300 awards and continuing to win, what he treasures is when Google reunion ad went viral, his dad gave him a call and congratulated him. That was very sweet.
Yeah, it's because he doesn't understand what I do for a living, even now.
So that's why.
Yeah, so I think it's very important because see, I have a sister. When we started working, she was an NDTV journalist coming on prime time every evening, and you would never be able to answer, what do I really do for a living? And it's very difficult to explain exactly what do we do for a living because we don't really shoot the films. So what do? You write something or you think of an idea. So I think for him to understand that, and he's a doctor, so it was quite nice to And it doesn't, I mean, people outside, and that's what Piyush keeps saying, and which you, of course, you know that normally our work, if it gets into a dining table conversation, is amazing because nobody really cares much about what we do besides all of us sitting here. And fundamentally, when it travels out of our spectrum of people and go outside, that's when I think magic happens. And I do know people, my friends, and they're amazing. They're very rare cases that who actually discuss ads. So there are some people, and we are lucky to have those kind of people in life that we know.
Lovely. And now coming to Uma, right, who's got many, many firsts in her names. And Uma is Shebang's Chief Creative Officer right now. So Uma brought India its first gold glass lion at Cannes for your Share the Load work, which was absolutely amazing and path-breaking.
Thank you with the team.
And it got Uma a place in the global top 10 creative directors ranking, which was excellent. You were ranked as the #1 creative director in India by Campaign Brief Asia and #10 globally by the Big Gun Report. You have achieved numerous firsts for India. First Indian woman to speak on stage at Cannes Lions, winning India's first gold glass lion at Cannes. I really liked this part when I was reading about your thoughts. Your belief in the power of creativity to drive cultural change. And that's how you have kind of mentored and inspired your teams and continue to do so.
Yes.
So Uma, thank you for coming here.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be between such greats.
Now coming to Ramsam. So Ramsam is actually Rajesh Ramaswamy. Yeah, I'm sure all of you know that, but for the sake of the audience. Ramsam is the founder of Script Room, which is a hub for writers creating content across various formats. The first time I heard about it, I thought it was a really nice concept.
Thank you.
Especially at a time when there's so much of good writing is required, not just in advertising.
Correct.
But across formats, whether it's digital content, whether it's web series, films, you know. Are you doing things in all directions? Or?
Yes,
Yeah.
we've floated around many, yet to strike. But yeah, they are in different stages.
Oh, very good. Yeah. And Ramsam not only now writes at the Script Room, but Ramsam also directs now, as you all know, but this is again for the sake of the audience. Ramsam is a director with Coconut Films and continues to do great work.
Thank you.
So thank you,
so
Ramsam.
much. Thank you. Honor to be with you and everybody here.
So I want to begin this, some of the colleges that I speak in or any workshops that I take. One of the questions that keeps coming, which is a very common question, and I'm sure has been told to you. I thought we should start with that question. So my first question to all of us have something that we do, right, or try to do when we get a creative block. And creative block, when it happens just before a pitch or a major pitch, is really hell. Because like you are tallowing the account management who's coming, with the deadline. You are trying to tallow the client, you sometimes try to get deadline shifted, especially at a pitch when there's no good idea coming and you know that with the ideas that you have, you're never going to win the pitch. So when that happens, when that kind of creative block happens, right, what do you do?
Go to
So much
recycle
of-
folder.
yeah. Huh? Okay. So let's start with Ramsam. Yeah. So Ramsam, what do you do?
Oh yeah, that first thing, I try and see, let me get my own first reaction to this product or this brand. Let me react like the way I would react to it, and let's be very fundamental about it. So I try and chase the most fundamental part, and if it is unsaid, like, wow, man, nobody said this shit. So why don't we just say this instead of trying to get too creative and all that stuff, and then try and figure out some techniques of saying that interestingly. So first try and latch on to what is it that you want to say. But yeah, sometimes you do hit a roadblock, and then you just jam, yeah, and you hit the bar.
But that's a good insight, which is to be really simple, not try too much when you're blocked. Any other thoughts, Sukesh?
I think I switch off. I think sometimes when I hit a dead end, there is no point going on. There's no point pushing further because it's just going to go deeper and deeper into. And switch off can be anything that, for example, just for a second, forget it. Because if you just keep, and like you said, and Ramsam very nicely said, it's so simple and you're not seeing it and you're not kind of, if you're not observing it, then what's the point trying to further dig deep into it? And switching off could be watching a movie, listening to a song, just completely forget about it for even half an hour. Like, the walk away from it. I think sometimes when you're walking away, when you walk back in, and it just seems like, oh my God, I didn't see this before. It's like, it's like trying to solve a puzzle and the
Yeah.
piece is missing and the piece is right there, but you can't see it. So for me personally, I like to just, if I get in the situation, which happens to, like you said, most of the times, honestly, and I have another thing to add to it. If I'm not scared, then I think I'm missing it. If I am so confident, then I'm definitely dead sure that what I have on the table it's just not good.
Nice one.
For me, the day I personally feel, it's been 2 decades now, anything that comes to me for the first time, I have a feeling that I'm going to get this wrong. And I feel that it's such a big responsibility because the challenge is, how do you not feel so confident? Because if you're overconfident, I think you're missing it. You're just missing it. And I think our business also is about, you have to surprise somebody with the most obvious thing that they are not seeing. And that's a very big responsibility because you may think it's a so simple thing. Someone say, oh my God, how stupid that is. So I like to feel the power of being afraid. Because when you're afraid, you really kind of, you keep pushing yourself.
Nice.
It's just a good feeling to have.
Nice.
Feeling safe
I
is
have a
not good.
different
So
technique
nice.
altogether,
Yes, please.
which is that I first listen to everybody. I listen to the client, I listen to the competition, I listen to everyone. I listen as in visually or every which way. I will do research, I will do all of that, and then I will forget all about that. I just cut the static and just be with myself. And if I don't find a place where I'm completely happy, I need to have that inner joy. Very selfish. It just has to hit the button for me, nobody else, it's fine, But when I do that, somehow it just hits every button, So that has always worked for me. But it comes from a place of not anxiety, only joy. I think that's what I have to say. Cutting the static and joy, that's it.
Very nice.
I think I apologize profusely to everyone involved in the project about the fact that I'm not able to crack this. I'm very, very sorry. I just don't know why, and I think I'm very good at apologizing.
Nice.
I'm an
ready?
excellent. I'm
That's a
very good at
skill.
apologizing. I'm a very good storyteller. Excellent storyteller. And I think a lot of times, like what I've kind of seen a little bit is I think people really like forgiving you if they know that you are sincerely asking to be forgiven. It's a very human thing to want to forgive. And I think something, more often than not, something comes after that. When I truly I just I don't know why, this is this is what I'm struggling with, this is what somehow after that it's a very Christian thing, but once their forgiveness is in place, something happens after
Nice.
that. Sure.
How interesting.
Good trick.
Never dreamt of that.
Very interesting.
I agree with what most of the people are saying anyway. I mean, I have a different way of looking at it. I never feel alone in the room. When the back is against the wall, I always tend to try and listen because usually somebody or the other in the room, whether it's a planner or some junior account management person, somebody or the other is also struggling with it and saying even a germ of a thought which you could pick up and use in a very different way. You could mold it differently. It could be just the starting point of something. But just that little comfort of knowing that, boss, you are not the only person thinking about this and dying and, killing yourself over it because you can't crack it. So I actually tend to just shut up and listen for a while and see if there's something. Otherwise, then I'll try all the tricks. Hey, please give me one more day. All of that I'll do. But first, I think it's important to know that it's a team game here. Everyone's there to just do. Nobody wants to make a bad ad. So even if they are telling an idea and it is a bad idea, they don't intend to make a bad ad. Nobody's scheming in a corner saying, come on, let's make a bad ad. I think the biggest thing we can do to get over feeling the pressure of a creative block is to just know that everyone is trying to be a problem solver. Only you are the person who's got the craft to make it interesting and creative, right?
So we used to have this guy, remember? There was a guy in our office who was, of course, working in the canteen. But I think he was India's first critic on advertising because he had the front row vision. And more than the front row vision, he had the say. He would walk up to anybody. Aaj maza nahi aaya. And everybody would, and we should always realize that he could go to Piyush also and tell him, "I'm maza nahi aaya. Ye wala acha nahi laga. Ye wala mast hai." So the reality was he was actually the common denominator you're talking to. And very nice thing you said, because I think if we and we encourage that. So in Ogilvy, the amazing part is even the guy who works on the lift and everybody who sits on they may not be part of Ogilvy, but I think in their head they think they're all creative. Because you can and you should be able to say. And I think departments are pretty much just a designation, which you have joined the stream. Any one of us, like we have so many engineers working for us, like our dear friend here, like our dear friend there who changed department. I know from where he came, and look what a lovely creative person he is today. I remember when I was a youngster in the system, and the reason why for 2 decades in Ogilvy is that I always felt that this is the best place for the idea to thrive. The best place for ideas to thrive, because if anyone the idea can come from, whoever it is, the ideas thrive here and they go ahead and get better and better and bigger and bigger. So if we create that environment, honestly, we will probably create, hopefully, the best pieces, because then we will also attract people to come and work with us. Because if you make the collective energies creative and not just a department, we are in a better space 100%, because that's what we're trying to do, all of us collectively. I don't think no one who joins, let's say, any company today, whatever we start off saying, I will write the best brief in the world. No, I think everyone owns their end output. And the team that celebrates together end output, you will see the team, the happiest team.
Yeah.
It is the happiest team in the world, because if you are celebrating alone, that means you're doing the worst job in the world, because what's the point? It means nothing, because you'll never be able to sustain, you'll never be able to go ahead, because our challenges will be the same, our briefs change, people have a rethink, because it's not a surgery, you rightly said, it's not an open heart surgery that can go wrong, and even there the doctors innovate, right? And I think we should be able to more to reach out to each other and talk to each other, because fundamentally the biggest thing is that we can always push it together. Every time I went to Cannes, I felt that why aren't we collectively pushing each other?
Yeah.
And I find that the most lacking thing, if you ask me. And every time I sat on a jury and I have seen the collective energy of, let's say, a continent, forget a country, I would say a continent. And I say, if they can be together, there are far more countries in that continent than we have, for example. But as a country, we're not collective energy. And I have one single theory in my life. Whenever I've been on jury, and I think it's my responsibility to describe the culture, truth of the country that I come from. And I speak up for whoever and whatever it is, because I think that's my responsibility.
I
Not
just
just a
want to add
department.
one more thing, Sonal, is that, we're looking for creative inspiration only within the community, which is, of course, the way we should. We should look at within our own teams, whether they're in the creative team or not. In fact, I completely encourage everybody to be creative. I think even a chartered accountant can be creative.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not in the terrible way,
Absolutely.
but yeah.
And as
Next
Adarsh
thing you
said,
get audited.
Yeah, very creative.
as Adarsh said,
Good choice of
germ
profession
the
for
germ
as an
can come
example.
from anywhere.
Can come from anywhere. But I think increasingly, we have to be very careful that we don't become incestuous, that we only look at the industry for inspiration and not anywhere else. By all means we must, and the industry must evolve and encourage each other. And like he said, you must stand together. But there is so much creativity outside. I mean, I remember when I first walked the streets of New York, walking on the streets of New York taught me so much more than working in the agency in New York,
True.
So I think that we must allow that in, and we must encourage our teams. I constantly tell people, go listen to music, go out, attend concerts, go visit art shows, go do all sorts of other things. I don't think we do enough of that. We pay way more attention to only what we as a community say.
Yeah.
I think that's a disadvantage of...
I mean, the realization that at every step of the way, creativity or creative solutions is a collaborative process.
Is a collaborative.
Now, whether
and collaboration comes from
whether the
anywhere.
collaboration is coming as an inspiration from a piece of art, so you're in a way
Yes.
collaborating with Van Gogh. If
Yes.
the inspiration is coming from there, so
You
problems
guys
get
are the
solved.
best examples of it. Look
Yeah,
what they've done.
yeah.
They've actually infused our industry with something
Which you're
totally
right.
outside perspective.
You're right.
And they're borrowing more from outside than
Yeah.
we are, in fact, what
Yeah.
Preeti has been saying, right? They've been borrowing from life and they're putting back in the work, and suddenly the world is saying, oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I think our approach is a little different that way because see, when like you're a comedian and you're on stage, right, and like you have to crack a YouTube video and there's an upload time. If you're getting nothing, you just start doing like basic stuff, crowd pleaser stuff. So like generally, if you're lost on a brief, what I generally try to do is like, okay, what is the most crowd pleasing, boring thing you can do? Sometimes I'll be like, okay, like this is what if cred was a beer? All right, and then start cracking beer ads. But try coming up with memes for the brief, because that sometimes sparks into a good film. Or like, write a Twitter thread. If I have to write a Twitter thread on this stupid problem, like
Interesting.
making fun
How
of that
wonderful.
problem, like, how would you do a Twitter thread on it? So, and sometimes something will kind of come to you, but like, I think the most important and the most basic aspect is the truth. Like what Ramsam was saying, right? Like when you look at a brief, like you need to know the truth. Like what is the single-minded, truthful thing about this that you can either make fun of or point out with an awkward observation that makes people look at it and makes them want to look at it again. So I think, I just like, we generally, what we do is we change the medium, we change the brand, just to, if we are lost on a particular brief. So that's how we kind of figure this
How
out.
wonderful.
Masterclass.
Really.
Uma, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think like building on what everyone is saying, like the strain is that what we consume, what we expose ourselves to, who we collaborate with, and the experiences we have, everything reflects in the work we do. I think creativity is very personal, and everything that we have consumed and exposed ourselves to makes its way into the creative work. And that's the magic of commercial creativity, which is that it's personal, yet it's for a certain business goal. The blank page is scary, right? I mean, you don't know where it's going to end.
Yeah.
But to approach it with a certain sense of serendipity and a certain confidence in skill. So skill that you gain with like honing your craft over the years, which is a function of time, and then start from there. And then it's really a process of divergence and convergence for me. And then it stops at a point where you have to let it go and just see. It's like what I learned in my travels, when I would plan too much and I would be like, I don't know, should I go to this place, should I not? And eventually I would just show up. And like what I learned from my travels was that let's see what happens. I don't know what's going to happen. I've come here, I don't know what's going to happen. And it's always a fantastical story. It may be a good story, a bad story, but it's always a great story in my life. And there is a sense of excitement in that. And I think that process really works for me. And then, of course, to celebrate creativity, right? In terms of, it doesn't matter who it is that can bring something on the table. It's just to see the people who are excited by it. So yeah, so it's a little bit of a process and a little meta for me. But yeah, that's what works for
Very
me.
nice.
So there's one thing with this, right? So this idea of Sonal, how you started, right? You get a brief and then it becomes unpredictable. I think the best thing about our profession is to not wait for a brief. Like generally, like the fact that you can wake up in the morning, have a random thought in your head about saving a species of turtle or helping education somewhere or selling a bar of soap, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it is in your company's business interest to make that random thought in your head come alive. It's the most beautiful thing about our work.
True.
No other profession allows you for that. Just bring me something from the corner of your mind and we'll make some money out of it and we'll have some fun with it, right? Doesn't exist anywhere else.
Very good.
So I think for a lot of us, and I'd love to know if the rest of y'all have a similar process. I have the next 20 ideas that I want to do in my head. I'll figure the brand, I'll figure what.
Tell some.
Huh? I'll come. The next break we take, no? And I think that's true for a lot. So repackaging is a bad word in our line of work, right? Like the illusion that we give out is for every client, brand new brief, brand new thinking from 0 to 100, everything will happen. Not entirely true more often than not. You have something in your head, it's not a full-formed idea, there's some interesting, I want this kind of, this is the creative device I want to use. I don't know inside, I don't know, but there's something from a place where that started. I think for a lot of our work, it's about getting that idea to find its right home in some way. You can take it to a brand, you'll realize, no, this is not the right home. Maybe they don't like it. You take it somewhere else 4 or 5 months later in a slightly different shape. I think that's its own, that's an art by itself. That's not indiscipline, that's not laziness, that's not cheating the client. That is a very...
It's also holding on to and believing, and Harit, for example, says so beautifully that you guys get bored. What you don't understand is that you're sitting on a gold mine and you've just given up. You've stopped digging. You have stopped digging and you have stopped saying that this mine is no more, productive anymore. But the reality is that what you have thought of can also extend more than what we give up, number one.
So you're saying we judge ourselves too fast
We give up.
and give up on some
Something
idea
that
which
is-
might have a
Yeah,
might
that
have
has
a
a
ghost
longer
mind.
life.
There might be a gold mine there.
That has a longer line, longer life, and that's one. And second thing is, I think you hold on to something that you, like I know something that I'm doing now, which we had thought of 6 years back. And at that point in time, as the same client, by the way. So the amazing part is, even the client remembers. And coming back to what you said, how much do you think of the business you work for? Are you waiting for them to come to you,
Yes.
or you're
Yeah.
going to
This
them?
This is very
Yes.
important.
In fact, the
And this
word-
happened, PG,
Yes.
is a very
Yeah,
interesting thing.
absolutely.
Very important.
The client didn't even think of it, and we were at in a meeting, and this statement was made as a very proud statement from them. And suddenly we said, oh, this is the right time and the right moment for something. And all I had to do was, I said, do you remember something that we spoke about 6 years back?
Yeah.
And the point is that if the idea was that good, they would remember it. If they've forgotten, that means the idea was horrible anyway. And it just kind of suddenly got a wind of its own, and where it goes, we don't know. But the point is, suddenly something that you thought of at that point in time was not valid, could be valid today, but you had to spot the opportunity.
Yep.
So I feel the time has come also for most of us here is that there was an old era of, there would be a brief dictated, there would be a written brief
Yes.
coming down the system. The world has changed. The
But
world
I
is so
often
disruptive.
find that we don't get briefs. We create the briefs.
Absolutely.
We're listening to the client and creating a brief which will hopefully work. But also one the other thing that you mentioned is that you need to think like the client.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
If you just stop thinking for a minute, just as a creative, you need to think as a creative person, of course.
Yeah.
But you got to get into the heads of those guys, and you got to see that they are not running an ad company; they're actually running a business. They are looking at an ROI, and if you somehow partner that, you can come up with great ideas,
yeah.
which makes you happy and them happy. But what you're then creating is a journey. You're not just creating a flash in the pan. And I think that's the kind of role you have to adopt for yourself. And this is something that we must all, I'm sure we all do, is that we must have tremendous pride in who we are, what we do. The ability to do the work, also the ability to walk away from something if we feel that we're not being respected enough. Because if you don't feel that's pride, you will not come up with those kind of thoughts, those kind of ideas, which can really be brave.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'll always just toe the line that the client wants.
No, and
100%.
I'll borrow what he told me, and I've taken that and I'm going to give him copyright for it once. It was a fantastic thing he told me one day when we were talking to him, and lovely idea PG had. I have an idea for you. I think he says the wrong statement. I have a solution for you for a business. Every single client will listen to you. And what a lovely statement he made. And for me, it stuck in my head the moment he told me. I said, wow, many times we go and say, I have an idea for you. What am I going to do with the idea? I have no need for your idea. And okay, I can entertain you. You can amuse me with an idea. It's like, cracker, like I can listen to you, no problem. I love you. I can give you the time. But the moment you go tell, it's a business, right? I have a solution for your business.
Yeah, then it makes sense.
Suddenly the whole paradigm shift happens because your mind
And
has suddenly
especially
said,
because the everything is changing so fast.
Yes.
Whether it's to do with technology, whether it's to do with the way businesses are being run, whether it's to do with the reduced attention span that people have now. So everything has to be faster and more stuff has to go out there. Ramsam, your thoughts on when you get a creative block, what do? You got
No. Like first of all, that I think the brief document is a very supremely boring formal document, and everybody looks at it like as if some. But if you actually speak to the client, they are able to articulate. And the thing is, I think each client has a different way of articulating. They don't speak our language, so we try to make things interesting. But they are mostly they'll just say the facts. They'll say tier 2 cities, SECA and shit like that. And you have to look beyond that, and you have to probe to get the right answers. Dude, what's the fuck up? What happens? You have to just cut to the chase and have a very human interaction. The minute you start having a human interaction, I think ideas start thriving. And you're not actually looking for an idea. Actually, you're wondering which territory, where the hell is the problem.
Yeah, true.
To get to that only, I think you have to just get a little more casual about things rather than trying to use very formal language. I find that
keep it simple. Basically.
Yeah, keep it simple, keep it candid.
Yep.
Organically talk, and then you can get to where it is. And then I think that sparring and jamming between people. Somebody says something, somebody adds to it, and something happens.
And now coming to one more question to all of you, which is such a hot topic right now. Everybody keeps asking that, which is about AI. Yeah.
whoa.
So although there are many questions attached to it, like what's going to happen to where do you see AI going as far as advertising is
It's a
concerned?
tool.
And AI, in any case, many of us are using it in our work already. Like whether it was the Shah Rukh Khan ad and some of the, the ads, the work that you did, PG. But what are your thoughts in general in terms of how are you using it? What are the younger folks thinking about it? Is there any fear?
I
Is
think
there
for
any-
me, it's just sort of, it's like being in a chocolate factory. It's so exciting. It's such an adventure. I mean, I'm not in the least bit threatened by it. In fact, I'm encouraging the young people in my team to use it more, discover it more. I don't think that we've understood it entirely or the potential of it entirely. But honestly, I just feel so terribly excited.
I mean, I feel it's going to be the ultimate wealth multiplier for creative people, because for us the problem is time. Like I can only probably attempt one script a week. I'm seeing GPT actually contributing some lines into the script now, the new one.
Yep.
So which is great. So which
True.
means that like maybe people at the top are like, you're going to be paid for your judgment call now more than creating work, which is great. But like I think it's a little bit of a problem for people in the middle in advertising, because when you're starting out right now, I think there's going to be a complete reset. So you start out with that reset, but how are you going to adapt to the people in the middle? Because I feel it is going to take away a lot of jobs for sure. Like copywriting as we know it is going to be outsourced to AI. Films maybe very soon, because the way it is progressing has been insane. If at its ultimate level, what could happen is like agencies could also become SaaS companies, because copyright laws are going to be more strictly enforced. For example, if we take everything we've written in the last 10 years and train an LLM model, it'll start writing like you.
Yeah, true.
And then you can start like, so how are agencies going to look at it? As a writer and an agency, if you came up with an idea, is that your idea or is
Yeah,
the
no,
agency's
true,
idea?
true.
Because
Absolutely.
5 years later, if the agency decides to train an LLM model on all the scripts it's got over the last 10, 15 years, and also independently writers are taking their ideas outside and training other models, how is it going to work? So I think these are the questions that might come in the future.
Yeah.
But it's incredibly exciting that finally tech is going to help creative people and actually
So
be
tell me,
creative.
is it we become more than, instead of creative directors, creative prompters?
No, I don't
in a
think
way.
so.
No, I think you'll be paid for your gut call. Like I feel, this biggest tech disruption is going to help people in the creative arts, because you're going to be paid for your taste. You're going to be paid for your understanding of people, which obviously AI may not. And it can give you 10 solutions, but which solution are going to pick? Because you know people better than any tech.
I have a different point of view. I think let's look at cameras, let's look at, let's say, any technology that basically helped human beings shoot better. There's still a DOP. There's still a photographer. I can have to me, it's a gadget. It's a technological gadget that thinks, that kind of, chips in. Let's look at, people became a better photographer with a camera from my phone that kind of corrected everything. And everyone was taking pictures, and Shot on iPhone campaign came, right? Everyone is a photographer now. And, it's great. I'm happy that,
true.
we are in the business of ideas. And I don't think a machine can think of an idea as of now, according to me. Because machine basically learns from whatever is, currently
Already
around
happened.
and already has happened. And yeah, it can read and it can program. Like, will a day come where they will start thinking of maybe in the future, I don't know. But I believe that what we are here on the table is for our mind. For me personally as a creative, I strongly believe, and I tell people in Ogilvy, is that surprise me by not becoming one kind of a creative. You got to there's so many emotions. You have to push all the buttons of emotions to be a truly successful creative person, because otherwise you'll become predictable. I couldn't have done birthday song personalized in your language with your intuitions of what your relationship is without the help of technology.
No,
It
absolutely.
wouldn't have happened.
Absolutely.
I would have been still singing happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you. So without this, I couldn't have done this idea.
So deep personalization is possible now with.
Amongst other things, I think that a number of things came together with AI. Like when AI came in, it was in the form of generative text, which is word.
Yeah.
So for the first time, a machine could write on its own, basis its read of a situation.
Yeah.
And the next thing was mid-journey, which is image creation. So whenever there's been like a transformative technology, this is so core and like disruptor today, and its lead formats were text and images. So I think that's a moment for any form of creation. So that's a place to start from, and then where it went and evolved, and what we read of the situation, and what the hype cycle was like, and what we know of it today, that it is a tool, and that AI is not creative. Thankfully, human beings are creative. Like Peter Thiel said that, you know, the numbers people are more in danger than the word people.
That's true.
So because it can
that
process
is a
that
little
much.
safety.
Yeah.
Little bit of a safety net.
Yeah, I mean.
Because see, it's amazing to do process-driven stuff.
Yeah.
And it can add, a bit of imagination in a process. That's what my reading is. I may be totally wrong. Maybe 10 years down the line, we'll be watching this and maybe, be laughing at me saying, hey, you idiot, what were you talking?
Yeah, just might.
But,
because of the speed at which it responds.
Yes.
Always boggles me. So, in a very funny way, what I really am enjoying using it for, right? You know how it happens, I don't know whether some of you suffer from it. You get a lot of ideas, right? And like a feature film idea or this idea. Sometimes you forget to write it, right? Or sometimes it just remains there. Nowadays, any idea comes to me, I just put it on my chat GPT. Just elaborate it into a film idea. But he brings out the full synopsis of the film, So now it exists. It exists now in a way. So it's almost like.
There's an interesting thing here, something like what Devaiah was saying, right? Of course, there is a danger to a bunch of people where it will do a certain level of a task.
It's disruptive to some extent.
It's disruptive to some extent. But at the same time, at this rate, right now we're being irresponsible with it. It's like in Bandra, if you get a new cafe, right, you can't go there for a month because all the influencers, everybody will just come there for taking pictures and making reels and everything. I think we need to wait for the dust to settle because, at Curious, for instance, we were seeing there'll be a problem statement on the AV and the next solution would be we used AI. But what did you do with it? We used AI cannot be the idea, right?
Absolutely.
I think so sorry, cut you, but that's a lovely point because I think one of the ways in which generally the marketing, advertising ecosystem kind of works, to like just hype something is very quickly put it into a bunch of places where you can win some stuff around it, where you can trend because of it. So I think for a lot of us, like that could be like we're short circuiting our own learning, because now there are award categories.
Yeah.
Very
But
soon.
also it's important to play with AI right now in
But
this
that's the
moment.
thing, like how much of like fairly clear is like if I were to ask like how many of us personally use it in our professions in terms of how we go about it, not our agencies, not what we think at a larger level about AI. Are we generally like doing it on an everyday basis? I think that's a tougher answer than like having a point of view. I understand in our jobs, the point of view comes before the learning. Often. So the question is not, hey, do you use AI, but what do you think about AI? And very often we're like, hey, okay, wait, let me get my point of view first before I actually go down deep and learn it myself. And I think that kind of leads to what Adarsh was saying. It's a very hacky way of actually ending up using it.
I genuinely feel right now, a lot of the stuff that we see with it. What I find inspiring in it is still the idea. It's not.
Right.
AI, as Sukesh said,
It's a tool.
It is a tool, so it allows me, like long time back in Ramsam used to have that, when we used to work together, he used to just tell all of us, right, please don't come with a film that says film opens on a helicopter. I don't want all of that, we don't have that budget. But now you can, right? Now you can say film opens wherever the hell you want it to open. And you could achieve it if the idea is good. I just feel that is the core use of it at this particular stage while we wait for the dust to settle, and Devaiah obviously understands it much more than a lot of the people in our agencies do. But at the same time, what I find exciting is that people still have nice ideas behind it, right? The original intelligence is still more impressive than the artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
So I just have one
Yeah.
interesting point he's raised. I feel that this business, and I really wish our business was like an Infosys and we could be outsourced and we could all be millionaires now. I really wish that, but we are not. Let's be very realistic about it, because this creativity business is actually, it's curated and it's created for a particular opportunity or a brief or whatever. So we are not mass scale production. We are not like a uniform standard fit all, audit this and create this, let's say, let's find a uniform entry code for all companies process. And that's how, let's say, a larger, and that's why the expansion is so simple and doable. So I feel that our our solutions are so unique and varied to different products and stuff like that. So it's very unique in itself, and I still feel our business is concept first, idea first, implementation later.
And we work with so many, as you're saying, so many things which are actually, in a way, felt.
Yeah.
And it's learned over a long period of time as a human being.
Human intelligence.
Instinct, yeah, human intelligence, instincts, insights, these words that we use are very, very human words. So whether at some point in time it develops an instinct and all that, that's different. But as of now,
So human
I think the
ingenuity still
journey-
has a
that is
place,
still-
right?
I think what you said, like the journey, I think is not about, I don't look at AI developing an instinct, but in our line of work, somewhere, if it starts developing on my instinct, like I give it, I give it something to work on based on my life experience, my instinct, my taste.
Yeah, true.
And then if it can develop more on that, that is a big time saver for
So,
to what he's saying, right? Like now there was a model which was trained internally by one of our colleagues which is meant to give feedback like me. Okay, so the whole thing was, okay, cool, here's this bot, you feed it anything, it's supposed to give feedback like PG, right? The thing is, it's only trained on a fairly small set. If it's trained on a really, really large set, I can just look at that and be like, I'd agree like 50-60%. Maybe, on a bad day, that's probably how I'm saying it, right? So it's terrific that way. To those who probably, through the thing of, oh my God, it's going to take my job, etc. I mean, we're all very used to the folks who are not intrinsically good at their work are going to find 10,000 threats.
100%.
Earlier, the immigrant used to take my job. Then women came into the workplace and they were a threat. Every time there's a new generation and there's something progressive happening, there are a lot of folks who are very comfortable with not getting better at their jobs will look at them as threats and be like,
PG,
here's the
you should
new
go
thing
back-
to take my job.
No, go back 20 years back. I'm just saying when the computer came in, remember? As a tool. Remember when the comms came into the system? I remember everyone say, oh my God, but look
Every
what
technology
we,
creates
but look
that.
what we are doing with
Photoshop.
it. Yeah, look what we are doing with it. Imagine our life today without that beautiful MacBook in front of us. So I feel that the generations will actually come, and I'm borrowing, somebody said, when you're having an argument with your spouse or a girlfriend and there's standard, if you use a standard procedure you think you're going to win over the argument, and let's say there's standard sorries and there's standard apologies, it won't work. You have to be instinct to know what is the problem and what you have to say, and that's what works. You can't just keep saying standard sorry and standard apologies and standard. It won't work. You'll get into a bigger trouble, right?
That's like a beta stage we are in, right? Where AI is learning from us and we are learning to deal with AI. And I think we collaborative stage, actually, if you think about it,
But the point is that AI is not new actually. Artificial intelligence has been powering,
Google,
has
for the
been
longest
powering a
time.
lot of tech products since a long time. And it's the consumer-facing aspect of AI, which is now come out in the public, and also its open source nature that has been transformative, that allows
That's
you to
true.
create models that you can customize for different kinds of needs. So this is the disruption that has happened. Now when it becomes consumer, all this while when it was around and we were facing its benefits, when we use our technology on an everyday basis, we didn't speak about it. The magic is in the consumer facing and the open sourcing of it, and now what you can do with it. So now we have a tool in front of us that we can play with.
Ease with which you're doing it.
Yes, and also now it has created, it has an impact not only on creativity, marketing as a whole, because there's a certain part of marketing which is performance, in which it is enabling a lot of automation and agility, which is equally important. So if you see the whole funnel, there is a funnel in which there is a part of it which is automation and agility and deployment at scale and adaptation at scale, which it enables, which is a big part of the marketing system, right? It can allow you to create and test stuff faster. And in the digital ecosystem, that's very important. So one is that, and then another is what do you do with AI as a tool for creativity, in which the human ingenuity is still paramount, is still key, like is with any piece of technology. And then I think the magic is in bringing the whole funnel together. So that's the real role of creativity. The technology is in front of us. It's about how we do it and how we optimize it for the larger marketing and creative ecosystem is what's exciting about it, I think.
No, absolutely. Ramsam, the kind of films that you've been doing and writing, have you
I
been...
hope AI can never do it.
yeah, of course. But have you been
No,
using
because
AI
if you
in
just,
any way?
in a weird way, yes. So, like if you break down our writing process, what happens is like mostly you're playing on your observations, something that happened last night, you know, you observe your friends,
Yep.
you saw something, you have your take on it. That's what happens. If you have conceived ideas which would have otherwise costed like 80 lakhs, now probably that can be done in 25 lakhs. Recently, somebody came and told me about you can even replace voiceover. It's quite sad, but yeah, it can go to that level. But I still feel that it's more in the area of giving it the final mile, the last mile, its form and shape. It can never. And look at the languages we speak. Yeah, our culture is so psycho, so
Yep,
dynamic.
yep.
There is no AI that can capture it. And most of the time, what are we looking for? We're looking for observations that nobody has used. And AI plays on observations that are used. It is the opposite of what it is. If yeah, I've seen it, is what most of our reactions are. What's my take on it, man? Oh shit, dude. Yeah, man, that's a nice take on something.
In fact, so to what he's saying, right? I think a lot of the this thing is like, oh, thank God, now the bad work can be done by
Yeah, the
something
boring
else,
part.
right?
The
Yeah.
boring part
bad
is away.
work. So it goes to show how much that bad work has been a burden on us. Right, like the
Yeah.
need to have, and it's almost like we're going to clients, be like, hey, you know those shitty briefs you give and those horrible ads you expect. Well, look what I got for you. I have the newest, whatever. So now the fear should actually be that what are we then? How we just need to do good work after good work after good work, right? And there is also some level of, because the mediocrity, in some sense, is also some sort of a safety nest. For instance, I think one of the things we've been trying to do at Talented is we don't do this thing called the safe route in any presentation. So there's no good route and safe route.
Very good.
It's okay if you, cool. We're just putting this out here to make that other one look a little better. Don't do that. I don't think mediocrity is lack of a skill. Mediocrity is a skill. Most creative people know how to do that. So unlearning that is actually really, really hard, because you have to have that discipline to say, you know what, no, I'm not going to attempt that mediocre version. I know you like it. I know it'll be nice for you to just see it, compare, whatever.
So you mean we've been creating work which are deep in our heart we know is mediocre, but we are still go down that route.
But I think a lot of it is
Because-
drive and hunger also. I feel like someone will not be satisfied with mediocrity if you have the drive. And I think if you're okay with incremental things, you will be okay with it. There is no substitute for hunger and drive, I feel. And then you match it with the intolerance for mediocrity, and then you
I
can...
think the harder question, once we answer that, is why should that bad work exist at all? That's that. No, the thing is, we
With
need
the
the
tool.
time and discipline to actually be able to ask that question without any this thing, and that can only happen when someone is doing that bad work on autopilot. If
maybe
we feel courageous enough,
possibly sometimes there's a client who's on this level, right? To maybe, and you've had long relationship with that client. To take the client, handhold the client to take him there. Possibly you need work, which I'm not saying is mediocre, but which is, let's say, not as, let's say, disruptive or radical. Or
Sonal, I think
I'm just putting a point of view.
I want to answer
What
this
he's saying is
question.
probably, I think, it can liberate the creative people to spend more time on actual good creativity and take away all the functional things like why are you sitting and
What Sonal is
writing some
saying is
laborious
also-
copy. That could be done so that this guy can focus on something which
I have
needs
a different
imagination
take
or
on his
creativity.
question, and I think good or bad work honestly is like a relationship. How good or bad relationship of yours is honestly depends on how much time you invest with it. So bad work comes when your relationship is absolutely horrible, if you ask me, and there's no way out of that because it's just gonna go sink further and further. Good work comes in the same relationship if you put the effort, put the time, put the fight, put the drive to fix
With
it,
the client.
rekindle
Yeah,
it.
true.
It's like any of our relationship. We can see a great relationship sink to the bottom if we don't give it time. Because nothing can remain constant. If you believe that what is today will remain tomorrow just because it is, I'm sorry, boss, everyone will leave you and go away. Your children, it's gonna happen because every day, don't we wake up and spend time into it? Don't we make that extra effort to be caring, concerned, put that time, effort? I think to your question, bad work is purely outcome of a bad relationship.
Yeah. Preeti, you had some...
Yeah, what I was saying is that and something that you mentioned.
Yeah.
All companies are, at the end of the day, individuals. You're building a relationship perhaps with a company and its culture, but you're also building a relationship with the person who's actually hired you buying your work, In India, we find that unless it's a very, very empowered brand manager, it is really because they want to be safe because of they play multiple roles. So if in a relationship where you're actually talking to the founder or the CEO or somebody who's truly empowered, and then that's really where the relationship is built. I mean, I'm sure when he started, when Ogilvy did all the fantastic work for Pidilite, for Fevicol.
Always.
It was, so I think that
Right at the top.
right at the top, So I think that we, from our perspective, we still edit our clients because it's really not possible to do that kind of creative, which has to give us a creative high and feel that, okay, fine, there is a reason why I was born in this world and I still need to feel that. We can't do that with everyone. So, I mean, I'm just being realistic about
empowered management at any
Yes,
level.
yes.
But somebody who's empowered.
Somebody who's
And there's
empowered.
always, I've seen that the agency, which I'm sure all of you experience, the best work comes out where that client,
Yes.
the agency-client
It's a
relationship
partnership.
doesn't feel like agency-client relationship.
100%.
It's always,
100%.
it's
Correct.
always
Yes.
two colleagues meeting,
Even
two
check,
friends meeting,
yeah.
always.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Like
So you're talking
Schedule
of
had-
cricket, you're talking of something
Yeah.
else, and
Yes.
then you say, then you present
I
the
was
work.
telling him
Yeah.
before we sat down that I have made so many blunders in my career, and the best partnership is when I have not been blamed for them, but I've been told, "Hota hai, aage badh."
Yeah, true.
Because, like I said, I work on the culture of what if and fear, because I feel something that makes me a bit uncomfortable is probably sitting on whether it's an emotional story or whether it's talking about. I love, for example, something. I think very brave of them to talk about happy ending. And I was judging that piece of work, and I remember I said it's brilliant because nobody spoke about it. It's like it's everyone knows it, but no one talks about it. So someone as a collective put it out there and say, well done you, and it could have backfired. Like I think of a question I was asked, say, Google reunion 8 years back was unanimous worldwide love. But if it was done in today's scenario, what would it have been? I don't know. If you ask me a question, I don't know.
I mean, I would answer that question. That's a story that will loved
Timeless.
in any
I don't-
absolutely human
I
emotions.
agree.
But see, I feel that
The truth cannot be denied, no matter what form it
no,
takes.
but the point I'm trying to make is that the fundamental thing is that I have to do the job what someone did for me, and which is why, hota hai, aage badho. Now I do that, for example. So I have to always make sure that, every fault is mine. Success is everybody, because I have to do that because that's a given. And only that's how we'll make braver people believe, and, because we don't know the answers. Every day we're struggling with, is this the right joke? Maybe is this the right emotion?
AI can never do Raul Dravid breaking glasses.
Cannot. Yeah.
Yeah, true.
For a brand or an app which gives you reward points to Raul Dravid is smashing. There's a lot of
Somebody had asked me about AI and the fear of AI, and I'd said this line. I don't know. At some point in time, it'll happen. So I'd said that till AI sheds a tear,
Yeah.
we are safe. So till then, we can continue to use it as a tool.
In terms of everything that's come out, all of the content that's out there about all of the great filmmakers and the musicians and the other artists at different, you worked on a docu, so you can tell us like the nature of how that work is treated by everyone across versus the nature of how advertising is treated has a lot to do with even how an LLM understands what we do in a very clear way. So, which brings me to my point about the mediocrity part a little earlier. You know how in a supermarket, the healthy food is the one that's kept separate. The junk food isn't labeled junk. The healthy food is labeled healthy. We have othered good work in some separate category.
That's very true.
And
but there's one point there, which is the junk food actually gives you so much of joy.
that it's correct. But
Yeah?
in this
So
one, the
advertising
joy
great advertising actually
Must
should
make
be like
you
junk
feel.
food. I think.
Yeah, must make you feel.
must be
Must be like
Earlier,
junk
I mean, long back when we all, I mean, at least when I joined advertising, I remember seeing, I used to walk to college, right? And I remember seeing an ad that Ramsam had done, which I got to know later. Like when after I finished my graduation, I joined, and I got to know, oh, he'd done that ad. There used to be a Upendra Hoding, a Kannadiga star, and he used to say, "Yalla okay, cool drink yake."
Oh yeah, I remember this.
Remember that? Okay, so now in my head, advertising had this great responsibility to create or add to pop culture.
What was the meaning of that?
Yalla okay, cool drink yake meant Ramsam would be the correct person to describe it.
Everything is fine, but why cool drink? Because that was a beer
UB
at 17
export
bucks.
at 17 rupees. I still
So
remember
why
the
would you
whole
want to have Pepsi or whatever, something else? You can
Then
straight
you
away
can have
It was
this.
such a
Then you can
pop
have-
culture.
But everything is fine, but why have a cold drink?
Yeah, because UB export
But
rupees
it's
17.
got one
Yeah.
language kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
a thing
got
in
it,
it.
got
yeah.
it.
I mean, from the MTV days to even this to anything, let's say, Ramsam and all were doing on Fast Track earlier. When I joined, at least I joined advertising thinking that advertising has the responsibility to shape pop culture in some way. The internet, I mean, the reels were not there. There wasn't so many avenues for people to shape pop culture, right? And I feel even whatever we were talking about, the biggest and the most evolving LLM is still the human mind.
Absolutely.
True.
Whatever
absolutely.
I'm
Can't
watching
touch it.
today, whatever I'm observing today, whatever I'm interacting with my child, whatever I'm interacting with my mother, will still shape what I come up with tomorrow.
100%.
And which
I
is
think
why
he had written a blog saying, hey, it's just an ad, man. We ourselves, screw ourselves, dude. Saying, oh man, it's just advertising, dude. Big deal.
No,
It's-
that inferiority complex is very real, and I think
we
because of
ourselves
that,
have concluded it's not an art form.
completely, completely.
We
But
fucked
like,
it.
whatever's manifesting in time and space is an opportunity to be made
Yeah.
better, right? Or to tell a better story.
No, like,
it's like time and space, no
Where
matter what
know
size
of
it is.
I know of two movies, very nice movies. On Malayalam movie was there, which is actually based on Prakash Verma's ad on Greenplay,
Yeah.
Linta's ad.
That's
Oh yeah,
Where
the
he goes
Lijo's
gets
last
correct.
movie, no?
I forgot the name
Narpad
of the-
Nerathu Mayakam.
correct.
the Sikh boy.
Watch the
that,
Malayalam to
Imagine.
whoever is watching from here.
that the one
But
with
we
the
will all
Sikhs.
say, wow, what a movie, man, what a
So
concept.
agree with
but
you. I
somehow when it comes to
completely agree with
advertising,
you,
it's like,
yeah.
हाँ ठीक है यार ad था. Because बेच रहे हैं हम. पता नहीं वो क्या हो जाता है यार कि you put a logo in the end, you're selling stuff. So what, man? Are they also selling? Everybody's selling.
So the next question, the related question that I had, when we started, many of us, right? There was television, there was print, there was billboards, even internet, digital advertising, but most of it was coming from one house, from the agency itself. And then slowly, with some agencies, the digital, because the demands were so fast, that it went out. Now, with influencer marketing coming in, another, so to say, nugget of brand building has gone out completely. The custodians were earlier, the agencies, which are proud custodians that the brand should talk this language, this tonality. Now that's getting very scattered. What is your take on that? Is there any solution to that? Because you see a great piece of advertising, I'm not saying on which medium, but you see one great piece of advertising from one brand and something coming out with a completely different tonality and mediocre piece of work from the same brand happening on another medium. So what's your take on that? Is there any solution to that? Is that a problem? Is that a big problem?
Being a brand custodian is even more important, even more relevant today than it ever was, especially because of the reasons you're saying. Do clients realize that? Not necessarily. And I think that's really where a lot of education, a lot of, this relationship building, which everybody is talking about. So, if you're thinking like the brand, if you're getting into the heads of the owners of the companies, you would know that if this brand has to be promoted, it can't be on the old rules anymore. It has to be done through different media, through different influencers. Influencers not necessarily people, but it could be different kind of opportunities. It could be events. It could be creating a platform which is entirely different. It could be making a feature film. I mean, look at what was Manthan. And at the end of the day, it was an ad film for Amul. I think we need to think differently. Maybe we think backwards from already. We are an ad agency. These are the guardrails of how we think. Maybe first step is that we break that. A lot of us are sitting on fabulous relationships with old clients.
True.
And I think that's really where we start reteaching new ways of looking at advertising and teaching it to the client and giving them the confidence that if you control this, it's just going to help you. Clients have stopped seeing that the agencies are not thinking differently. They're only thinking in the way they used to think, ATL, BTL. The world has moved way beyond that. So that's really what I think. There's great scope, there's great need for it, if you ask.
So on both sides, learning from
On
both sides.
sides, yeah.
I think Nick Law talks about it quite articulately with his experience also at Apple, which is that, there is a middle funnel. Like the advertising funnel right now looks like an hourglass in which on top there are the storytellers and on bottom are the performance marketers. Funnels are also increasing, right? In terms of the creators coming in.
Yep.
So like you're saying, traditionally the agencies were the storytellers and the creators.
Yep.
With technology and digitization, what has happened is that creation is democratized. And it is getting further democratized with tools like AI that have collapsed the time between thought and creation
True.
in like a first step level.
True.
So anybody can create now. And what happened with the influencer ecosystem or the social ecosystem is that everyone can be a creator now. So there was a sort of like a power shift. But at the end of the day, what lies, the strength that lies with agencies with heritage of crafting and learning storytelling is that that heritage stays. And that what is proven true is that storytelling is not going anywhere. That thought and instinct and human experiences still have a role to play in the table. But from a broader picture, the opportunity really is for bringing all this together, to have that sense of, that what role can influencers play, what role does social play, what role does digital play, and not really leading from the big idea, but from the middle funnel, that, we are not living in silos anymore. And there is a democratization that has happened, which is an opportunity.
True, absolutely. Yep.
But as a company today, for example, if I am the creative partner for, let's say, brand X, and the term they use very often is end-to-end marketing. That's the word they use, which is, what it means is all things doing with this particular product. Can you do it? If you can do it, you will have the, let's say, the creative vision, and you will have but you can't just say, I will do this part, and if you don't do that part, somebody else will do it. And then whether it's good or bad, it's a subjective thing, because very hard to explain. Also, look at the marketer world. They have different people running, different divisions of marketing today. There was a time when I used to create 2 campaigns a year, and that was all the money I spent.
Yeah.
Today, for my brand to be relevant, I have to be constantly, engaging with my
Absolutely.
consumers.
Yep.
Now, can you help me with that? So if as an agency, if you're not able to deliver to that and deliver again with all the chutzpah that we have, which is, oh, wow, this is a great influencer idea that I never saw it coming. So we go back again to the same thing. As a human mind, we are able to look at somebody, oh, this is your skill set, fantastic. Let me see what I can do with you. To the conversation that you phrased on to them, I think the mind-boggling use of the absolutely crappy work on IPL, I mean, if I would say so, maybe I'm the cause of it also. What they did was fantastic. They took the same celeb thing, and everyone comes and holds the box and top, but they flipped the role. Technically, we are all given celebrities too, because that's the easiest cut through. That's what many believe.
Yeah, true.
Rightly or wrong, I don't know, but they believe. Hence, celeb come in the picture.
I mean, there's some truth in
Going
that.
back
so,
to what
yep.
they do with celeb, right? For example, I mean, it's a classic case of what both of them have done is what we have been doing when we changed the voice of Sachin in a campaign. Right? When I go back to Ogilvy, I mean, Sachin sounds like this. I didn't know that, man. So I feel that every time, again and again, if you are using your mind to surprise the audience, you will fly.
No,
Whether
absolutely.
It is whatever it is.
So my point was not that the agency should do everything. Yeah, it won't be able to, because you can't have 15 influencers working in your agency. They won't. But I'm saying,
They are doing in some
initially, remember there
agencies.
used to be the brand book, right?
Yeah.
An expanded version of brand book. Now, whether it's a brand summit, or all I'm saying is, are there ways that everything that's being done on that brand, right?
No, so Sonal,
at least whoever is doing it, at least that influencer who's making a reel has got some sense, somebody has told him about that,
Every client would like to have less to deal with, right? So there is opportunity for all capabilities to come together.
No, absolutely.
And
They have to come
expertise.
together, yeah.
They have to come together.
And
then
that's the reality also.
That's the reality also, because you're solving a problem, right? I'm dealing with 4 people. I have to teach 8 people what my brand is versus 1. So if all the capabilities are there, Shebang is started as a social digital agency, but we have an influencer management with Maximize partnership now, and there are tech capabilities. So it's having the capabilities and then now working towards bringing it all together.
I think there are 2 ways that it could be built. One is where you have everything under one roof.
Which is not possible, yeah.
Yeah, and the other bet is that you be a super specialist at something.
Yeah.
And to answer your question, I think the brand manager I think their role is going to be more like commissioning agents, where they understand the brand inside out, and then they commission pieces of work depending on the platform you want to put stuff on with specialists. So that is one bet. Say for example, we do only the TVCs, but it is a brand manager who understands, okay, this is on brand, and essentially briefs another specialist agency that does memes.
Yeah, correct.
Right? Or go to market with the TVC. How are you going to launch this TVC? Brief a specialist agency and ensure they are following the brand tone.
Brand tone, and quality check.
And quality check.
No, so the second bet they are saying is
Yeah.
is what's happening,
Yeah.
and it's very possible.
Yeah, because,
and
see,
that's what's happening.
Yeah.
But what you are talking about, the one brand manager really understanding,
Correct.
that has to happen more, I think.
Yes.
So to this point, right, and this slightly long answer, if we feel like, most brands and most work is not caring too much about, a brand image and brand building the way we do, then also it means that it's that entire exercise of 2 decades of, brand building in its truest sense, it didn't work entirely.
The input is wrong itself.
Right, like the fact that an entire generation of internet first companies came in and decided to say, you know what, I think we can do without a lot of that and still make it, means that there was something that was wrong with how it was being done. And I think some of those ways, I think some parts were overdone. For instance, under the name of brand guidelines, the amount of gatekeeping that was done for creativity overall is something that most good planners and creatives and account managers would agree to. Under the name of category codes, the amount of gatekeeping that has been done.
There's the horrible
That's
side
the
of that.
horrible side. Now, the
There's
thing
a
is, it's
horrible
because
side
of
of
the
brand book
horrible
also.
side.
Yep.
It's because of the horrible side that also a lot of the good things that have come out of brand building have probably been sidelined a little bit and kind of coupled together, right? Strategists, and I don't know if Good Ads Matter has a panel with strategists at this point, but if this question were to be posed, they've probably had the most evolving job in the last 3 years within an agency infrastructure, right? Planners and strategists as we kind of know it. The Uma's agency and mine work on a brand together. We handle different parts. Britannia. Right? Britannia is a fantastic example of how to not overdo brand guidelines. In a way, they take overall the spirit of what it is. All of the top line stuff is done, but I don't think we've had an idea not go through because it's not on brand for Britannia, because there is a clear indication that, okay, cool, this much is good, beyond this not. So I think that nuancing is missing in a lot. Most of the times when we talk about issues between clients and agencies, right, it's not clients and agencies, it's good clients and good agencies versus bad clients and bad agencies, right? It's that 80% of them deserve each other, right? This is the 20% that we feel like, okay, where is that soulmate energy?
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
That is so true.
And rare marketing talent is equally hard to find as rare creative talent, rare account management talent.
It's become too complex and complicated. Like I've been seeing this from past 8 years or 10 years, I think. There are super specialists that happen. Then after that, again you consolidate everything. Then again you fragment everything. Then again you consolidate everything. These things keep happening because there's so much of confusion out there. If you actually look at it, it's so there's a digital agency, there's an influencer agency, there's who is to decide how much should be given. If you meet a lot of writers in digital agencies, they are like very frustrated with the budgets that come to them. They're like, dude, I mean, all the money is gone to the mainstream. Who is to say that that shouldn't have gone to the digital piece of...
Who's to say mainstream is mainstream?
Yeah, who's to say?
Exactly.
And it is different for each brand also. So I think the only solution I can see is, agencies also have to restructure themselves and be a little more fluid to collaborations. So it is not, you don't see the other person as a competitor.
True.
But you can look at it as different opportunities to collaborate, because it's not possible for everybody to hire all the people and make them sit. You get tempted on one project and you hire one guy who's a specialist at one job, and after that he's sitting there for a long time and you're wondering what to do with him, dude, because you have not attracted another job of that nature. So the specialists have to exist, and I think like how production houses work, where they all come together for a project and they all disperse, is a more sensible agency structure if you see now. But yeah, the restructuring has to happen.
As Sukesh was saying, that's where agencies have to evolve.
Evolve,
And some of them are evolving.
See, 8 years ago,
in terms of the way
when you came back,
hiring.
and it was written, writing was very clear,
Yes.
and Ramsam, you're absolutely spot on.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest problem we have honestly just killed ourselves with is this classic one-fit solution for all.
Yes.
And I personally am...
That has to change.
I would love to be in a room.
But Sukesh, I have one question. Say like take the Sachin mask ad, which was done many years, Gumadkar.
Correct.
If I have to stare at that piece of communication today, it could have been a digital ad. It could have been reels. It could have been a mainstream ad.
Absolutely.
How are you to classify what it is?
You don't. So in fact, the biggest problem in our business is this classification of, I feel that you are given an opportunity to work on a problem or whatever you can call it, and your solution has to be the most creative solution. And the solution could be a film, could be an influencer idea,
Absolutely.
could be a tech idea, could be whatever. I'm saying, again, we are not a film writing workshop. We are not a print headline writing workshop. We are inherently, from conception, we are an idea agency. We can call it agency, we can call it consultant, whatever the name you call it.
And this question, this to be media agnostic has been going on for a long time, that it can be a radio campaign. Why film?
Yeah.
At a very inherent level, the vocabulary around brand building is different now in most shops. The amount of PR visibility that, let's say, a company gets to have, right? Like, if you were to take brands of like from a couple of decades ago, this concept of mass layoffs, let's say, and the amount of, let's say, generally bad press a company can get for a bunch of other things. Now, this is simply based on, let's say, how the gig economy is developed and how generally companies are a lot more visible than they were those days. The exposure that a company has with the public outside the realm of advertising is so much more.
True.
Right? So the core concept of saying, I am going to protect the image and control the narrative, which is what at the core of it brand building is supposed to do, because brand building believed that advertising would be the most consistent way in which I'm receiving that person. Now I'm reading articles about a brand, I'm reading about layoffs, I'm reading about something that a
True.
founder said.
I'm not denying the fact that brand rides much more beyond where advertising stops.
No, but I think a lot of the
we
lack
keep
of-
talking about the fact that it's in the way the customer service answers your call. Brand is everywhere.
To your point on inconsistency across nature of work, right? More than that being a systemic issue, I mean, it's a bunch of people in a larger group not doing their jobs, and they just need to do their jobs. I think that's
He's after some people.
Mediocrity is this cause
because,
today.
Because there
No,
are in a lot of
No, you are
integrated
right.
campaigns,
You're
you've been
right,
working with multiple
and
partners.
that's why the question in terms of how to make it better.
No, so the problem behind that problem is a bunch of people probably feeling like, the brand building part of it overall is not as important as it used to be because it doesn't give the same impact as it used to. Now, the diagnosis of that is what is a little more like sad.
I don't know if I agree fully to that.
Yeah, neither do I.
Because, I think collectively, we are being, all of us, me included, I'm saying we are being a little full of ourselves, thinking that it's everybody else's problem and not ours. I feel if we were the brand custodians and let's say we are the first input into it all, right? Whether it's the strategist, whether it's the creative, whatever it is, if that input has a clear tone, manner, idea, everything, right? If it's so crystal clear and it's that kick-ass and that pervasive, then anyone doing the job doesn't need to do the mediocre job. Everybody should be able to write a paperboat ad. Because they know what paperboat is, right? If whoever's defined it. In that case, I feel the definition and the person defining it also needs to take some responsibility in it. And of course, after that, everybody needs to do their job, like you're saying, right?
But I think that we're always starting with advertising as if that is the one
Defining it in the first place, yes.
Yeah, and as if that's the only thing that can build brands. I mean, I'm a bit of an outlier here because I bring a lot of design experience along with this, and we've managed to, when we come on board as maybe a communication person, agency, or sometimes even a design agency. I mean, we have managed to actually create a whole different line for fashion for a brand, or given birth, like for example, Pidilite, the hobby ideas. That was something that came not from the original task, but just from thinking about the brand. And when you come from a place of a proactive thinking, and B, when it touches makes brand sense to the client, they will do it, whether they'll do it today or they'll do it later. So I'm saying that maybe we're typecasting ourselves too much to a film and to a...
And just to reiterate, I'm not saying that films are always great and the influencer reels are bad.
The other way around.
There are many times I've seen where the influencer reels and content is like really surprising,
fresh,
surprisingly good, right? While the mainstream work which I'm calling in quotes mainstream is not so good, So I'm saying it's happening both ways, but some cohesiveness.
I'll give you a small example of how we did it on a campaign last year. We did this campaign for Swiggy called Why Is This a Swiggy Ad? The whole thing was getting people to like locate an ad and make their own theory
that
on
was
what they...
really sweet, brilliant.
Thank you so much. So for that, the way that the influencers were briefed, I think it was wonderful. Basically, picked up the phone and we were like, hey, listen, for the first time, you're going to get a brand collab brief. We promise you 0 feedback. Whatever you want to do with the reel, do it. Because the whole point is you have to come up with your own theory on the ad. We're not going to give you feedback on what you think the ad is about. So just go ahead. So all of them were suddenly like very excited at, oh, evidently Swiggy's got a brief where they're going to give us no feedback. And it just became like this little murmur amongst the folks who we kind of worked with. I think, yes, there is something we can do to make sure, especially if we've come up with a core idea or whatever, make sure that excitement translates across, right? That's definitely a part of the job overall. But, under the spirit of collaboration, I don't think putting 17 different agency partners in a room to execute one.
If you're not able to be on that table, on that discussion, when there's an opportunity to brief, let's say, because we have to do, and you are absolutely spot on. Some of the reels are brilliant. Like I know a worker influencer on a campaign right now. This is the idea, and please feel free to do what you have to do for this idea. And then after that, you got to let them be because they want to create based on that idea that you've given them. Now, if I take away their personality,
that should not be taken away. Otherwise,
what's the
use?
point going to influencer then?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's a waste of money.
Absolutely.
So now, I know he's right.
Or
There are people.
Maybe it's the way one selects.
No.
The correct influencer.
Sonal, you're right. I know he's absolutely right. There are people who would actually go to influence it, do it my way. Then why did you go to them?
No, absolutely, yeah.
So I think it's inherently, you have to have one single thing called, do you have that gut? Do you have that gut for just because you are speculating what is going to be liked by the people out there, whatever you do. If you don't have the gut, I don't think this business that we are in.
And gut not only in terms of what will people like, but even that instinct about the brand. Brands are actually beyond brand books also. They are,
And you have to
people who
live-
handle it have that instinct.
You have to live a brand so much that it becomes instinctual.
One is that as a graphic designer, I came from the time when there were these prints and billboards and all that. And then went on to a time when wrote many films and, then it came to digital times and all that. So I've lived through all that. But what really pains me, the billboards that you see, except for very few ones on Western Express Highway, huge real estate, right? But really, really being used like trash. Or for example, when you see newspaper ads. So that's why very heartening to see your work on that
Wild
real
Swiggy
estate.
ad.
Yeah.
No, Home Lane, I think.
Home Lane. So this is for Preeti and for you. Preeti, you've been obviously a doyen in design and bringing design into communication. And some of those beautiful campaigns that you did, I still remember. And this is for all of you also. How do we sort this? How do we give a little more importance to, because that's also staring at people's faces every morning.
It's a craftsmanship. It's incredible that when in the days of the analog, there was far more attention to detail. But now with so much access to digital, the computers, the kind of fonts we have, there's less experimentation. So the craftsmanship is missing from the writing. I mean, there was a time when people got hired because of the kind of copy they wrote, not because of the headlines they wrote. Now we're hard pressed to find a sentence that is delicately written with nuance and which can actually touch your heart. So I think there's a lot of craftsmanship missing. And I think that overall there is just a kind of a sellout. Let's just sort of get this thing out very quickly. Speed has come in where everything is wanted just all the time. As far as ad agencies, I have seen that a lot of people tend to just focus on the awards. So when it comes to the everyday work, there isn't that kind of employment of time, attention, detail. It's just something nikalna hai. Let's just get it out. People seem to live for awards. In the graphic design, I find that the graphic design community, the branding community, they are embracing the new much more actively. They are far more authentic about their craft, the way they're approaching design solutions, because when we work in design, it's not just graphic design, but we tend to end up working, whether it's an architect or whether it's with a digital person or, product designer, tech people and things like that. And you find that there is a greater awareness. Unfortunately, not seen that much because a lot of it remains invisible. It's really what's out in the public eye. But you're right. I think that it's the mediocrity, the lack of joy in seeing your work out there is somehow.
I think where focus goes, there energy flows, and focus now is defined by eyeballs. So there is some lopsidedness that is happening. But I think that's a good point, and a way to think of it is like, what is the best manifestation of this idea? Like the Colin Kaepernick ad was a outdoor, a hoarding which said, I hope I'm saying it right, that believe in everything even if it costs you
Everything.
everything. Believe in something even if it costs you everything. That was an outdoor.
Yep.
Fearless Girl is an archaic medium of a statue where
Absolutely.
creativity begins. You know, that goes so long back, but it's transformational and it transcends mediums. Once you find the right manifestation, it has the ability to transcend medium.
And you know, I was not even going into the idea. Idea is obviously
craft.
very important.
We're talking about the craft
Even
of
the
it.
craft.
The
That a
craft.
billboard,
Yes. Oh, yes.
billboard should not be a
Yeah.
replication of print ad. You know,
Yeah.
even simple thing like that.
Yes.
It really pains me. And there are so many of them, one after the other, you know, on
Just one museum of
These
mediocrity.
are more
yeah,
in
as you go along,
infomercials
yeah.
or it's just information out there, but it's not an
and
idea. out
created by same agencies who are creating some
so-
really good work on
so I think
television.
the biggest
That's what I'm
problem-
saying.
Yeah.
How do we?
I think the biggest thing we are lacking is time to give the craft. And he's famous, by the
Yes.
way. Sonal Dabral was famous that Sonal Dabral would bounce 20, 30, 35 layouts for an inch and millimeter of things that move from here to there. And then Sonal will make up his mind and someone will say, this is it. And he'll say, oh, Sonal approved it. And Sonal
So
will come back.
that's why Sonal is Sonal.
Yes. And then Sonal come back and suddenly say, no, I think it's go back to that. And they'll say, but you only moved it back. But whatever in the gist of it, if you look back, I don't think we give it time.
No,
And we don't give it time enough to agonize over
Yeah.
something
I
that
agree.
matters.
Yeah.
So,
So I'm saying no. I've got an analogy there. You know, you see some of these chefs, Gordon Ramsay or any good chef. I'm just taking a name. You see the way they chop, which just seems fascinating, right? So the craft is there, but they've spent so much time honing that craft that now it comes as second nature. People at agencies who are designing something, that it comes as second nature, that when they are doing, even if they're taking less time, the kerning is right, the selection is right, you know, and the balance is right. And what should go onto a hoarding, right?
font
They
selection.
fight for that rather than
I'm completely with you. I think it's also, which is why like it is very, like one of the things we keep saying internally is a lot of agencies that do very good work. There are very few agencies that never do bad work.
maybe that's a
Right?
good
If
way of
you are
looking at it.
if you are very sure that you want to be someone who never does bad work, then you will forget how to do bad work. It is all of these are very conscious decisions. Mediocrity is a conscious decision. We have
Collective
learned
decision.
it.
I
We have
want to do
learned
bad
it
work.
over 2 decades of how to do that mediocre
there's
job.
nothing
well.
wrong in it.
But
I
yeah,
think it's
you've
justified.
learned it, right? So you have to unlearn it. You have to forget that skill.
and maybe
PGs are a
some
mission.
more
PGs are a
love
mission.
should go into
PGs
some
are
of
a
these
mission.
mediums.
Yeah, I mean,
I
imagine.
think it's also like, you know, it becoming sexy again. I think there's this false notion that print outdoor is a by the way thing. There's
Correct.
main
Yeah,
thing.
absolute false
But I
notion.
think it is
Yeah.
false because if you do a sexy print ad or a hoarding, it virals on the internet the next day.
Totally.
Right. So
Makes a
like
tour.
that is motivation enough for you
Absolutely.
to ensure every hoarding is a viral, every print ad is a
Absolutely.
viral. It's not just another.
Absolutely.
Phenomenal point, you know. Unilever makes Santur, something that we have done. I haven't seen anything. It's the one outdoor in Vijayawada, you know, in our biggest market for that
Taj
tea
Mahal.
brand, Taj Santur. And
you're true, yeah, it goes viral.
the love for that one monsoon outdoor has created. You can see it today. You just have to go social media and you can see every opportunity. If you put, and I know the team who's worked on it, then I know the effort and the craft and
Yeah.
the trials and the tribulations that went behind to make it happen, and failure and success and failure and success, and it's effort.
True,
I think we should
actually.
give effort.
It's the love for that.
Yes,
love
you have
for
to
the
feel for it. I
No,
believe
actually, it's
nothing
an
was sexy.
opportunity now for radio or print or anything because I think if you crack one damn good, the whole world will speak about it.
Because it's a low-hanging
Than
fruit.
cracking a great film because there are so many
Yeah.
good films, but when you see that one static piece and everybody goes gaga on it, it's like
I'll just ask just one question, then we'll continue with the others, right? And it's to do with youngsters in advertising, right? The younger folks who are coming, now there is so many more options, right? In terms of ideas, writing. There is a certain amount of restlessness also that within 2-3 years, starting something on their own or not coming into advertising, but getting into, let's say, long form or jumping and going into long form very early. Do you face that problem? Are you facing that problem? And if yes, no, so I'll tell you why I said that. Because it used to be true, and I think it's still true, that some of these bigger established agencies were also good schools.
Yes.
Yeah.
Purely because of no other reason but the fact that a long legacy, B, a great body of work to get inspired from, and a lot of people to look up to. So, when somebody goes into a place like that, initially used to be this whole outlook that I am here to learn. So 4 or 5 years used to just go off easily. And by that time you reached a certain level of understanding, certain level of craft. And then you got really involved in it and you maybe never left because agencies kept you comfortable. Now this restlessness, because actually the world has gone restless because of, maybe again because of technology. You are restless even on your phone, yeah? What gets missed out, I think, is that therao that gives you the learning. That gets missed out.
You're just in that kind of a
But if
moment.
you
I
create,
feel.
no, I think, so I am very fortunate that we have people, amazing people, and not mediocre people, amazing, amazing people who call this home. And I'll tell you why they call it home, because I think it's the place that has to make you believe that when you come here, your best ideas or best thoughts, the best partners, the best planning, the best account management, the best canteen boy, girl, whatever is there, you'll find it all here. As long as we focus on creating an environment that is creative, you will be able to retain and work with the minds that you want to work
Yeah,
with.
true.
But as you know, we have given the most number of directors to the industry. The most number of creative people have gone out to become CCO of other companies. I think the flow must continue also, if you ask me, because I believe that creativity is one thing that if someone feels like it, I always tell anybody, I will give you the first film, for example, if you're a director. I'll give you a first shoot for photographer. I will trust my people who we have groomed and invested and time, and I will go fight for you with the client saying, hey, this person, this guy, this girl is somebody that worked with us and is very good. And we must continue the process because you have to let people do what they want to do. I can't hold on to people because then you hold on to only mediocre people. And
That's
No,
also kind of
true,
selfish.
So I think that, to your question, yes, it's very important to recognize those gems who have that entrepreneurial qualities in them because they tend to think out of the box much
that's true,
more. Okay,
that's true.
so there's like in what happened to us was this young person. She said, my husband's transferred to Bangalore, and but I don't want to leave the company. I really like working with you. Can I start something in Bangalore? I said, go for it. I mean, a designer, not a business head.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. And she did it, and she did it. She made a big thing about it. And then few years later, she said, now I want to start my own, and she has. And she's doing very well. And it is fantastic. I feel so proud to see her doing well, So I think that this is a natural scheme of things. You want to recognize the gems, give them the freedom to expand because they will help you grow. And then when they leave, you really have to wish them well.
Absolutely.
And see them prosper.
Is there anything that you see besides the fact that whatever we've discussed, and this for all of you, I'll start with Preeti, any grouses or any questions or anything that you could change about Indian advertising, about the advertising industry or the way we work? If there's one thing that you've been thinking about or...
Absolutely. I think that for me personally,
Yeah.
so I can't speak for the table here, is that I felt that I wasn't growing when I was just hiring from advertising. Okay, I just got the same old, same old. The minute I looked at different kind of people who would come and work for me, I found that actually we were thinking in a very different way. So I think what happened with advertising is that it sort of believed in its own legacy, so to speak, or its own magic and kind of,
Very Shakespearean.
very and became incestuous. We create for each other. My
Sure.
friend is in the other agency, or we go to the awards and all of that kind of stuff. So that's where I felt it stopped growing. And I have a slightly different DNA. I've always thought of design. I've always thought of doing. I think of myself as a creative person at large and not belonging to any industry. So difficult for me to pigeonhole myself anywhere. So I wanted to have people who would kind of relate to that kind of a DNA. So once I got that, which were non-advertising people, that's really when I felt that we were kind of, breaking out of that. So I think you need to maybe cross-hire or cross-work, and bring in new mindsets, new work ethics, and things like that. I think that's very, very
No,
important.
that's a great answer.
One more thing I believe coming to what Preeti was talking, which is very important, and that's what I learned in the school that I belong to. I think do real things, do great, the bravest thing PG's been talking about, break all molds that he spoke about, like, go back and make things sexy again, what was not sexy. But celebrate each other. I mean,
have
let's just,
everyone's back
pick up
here.
the phone
Yeah,
and call, say, hey, I loved your stuff, man, well done. Because the amount of hard work that must have taken for that thing to happen. And when there is love, it should be universal and
Yeah,
not
true.
just, and I think the more we do that, we will be united, because I truly believe that as a country, the kind of work that we are doing across across people collectively, I root, like, I remember, like, let's take, I'm just giving example, Can as a stage. I clap for everybody.
Oh,
I
yeah,
will
absolutely.
debate.
I see that happening
I
now
will
more and
debate
more
for
on
everybody. I
LinkedIn.
will fight for everybody. If I'm in the
People
jury, I will
root
stand
for
up.
you.
Yeah, if I'm the jury, I will stand up, and because I have the right to do so. Like, I have the right to explain my culture and not sit there and keep quiet. And I find that is just not cool, because we have to be united, because this creative industry of our country can be a forefront of a different kind, and we can push on so many dimensions that tomorrow we should be revered. Like, the love. Be happy, go out there, show the world how good you are, and clap the loudest for the others. The whole world can work for you.
You know that
True that.
when, as you said it, I remembered in Amsterdam, 181 Amsterdam's founder, his soul rest in peace, he passed away. But he took me to a party one night, and he said that this party they have every month or twice in a month, which was all creative heads of all agencies, right? And I found that atmosphere so endearing and exciting. Everybody meeting, chatting, drinking together.
Yeah, no,
One
no.
should do it
Yes,
here.
of course.
Raj Deepak Das, for example, for his own, I remember for his birthday and a small gathering, but he made the effort. And I told him, I will make sure I'll come for your thing wherever I am.
think
I'll
that,
cancel the
yeah.
meeting because you're making an effort. So I just feel that we should all collectively don't be so hard upon ourselves and just celebrate each other, because what we're doing is not easy. I mean, it's commercial art, and in
And have
commercial art, we're
everyone's
winning
back,
love.
I have
Yeah.
one more
How
thing
about
to
that?
say that,
Yeah.
like let's celebrate creativity.
Yeah.
I mean, there are fabulous architects who are working today. There are fabulous designers who are actually doing incredible work with farmers and things like that. I mean, that dialogue has to become
Yeah.
much, much
So
wider.
how do you suggest that happens? Any thoughts?
Maybe we should
Yeah,
have
we
a
should-
forum like
forum
this.
or
we
forum
need
like
to-
this.
Yeah,
Exactly.
forum like
As
this.
a
Look, we need to
community, we
create a
are
forum
stronger
just for
together.
that.
Like, I remember Anand, God bless him. I mean, he used to have this Toto, one place he had. Come one Friday, people from, clients are there, some people are there. And I think what he started is one individual started something so simple. It doesn't need too much of complication,
Yeah,
planning.
It doesn't need.
Planning.
There's a
Yeah.
design
Follow
gallery
your
now.
heart.
47A.
Get people together.
It's a designer's gallery. So, I mean, she's actually got designers from, I think, from Pune. They're working with waste and they've created some amazing stuff.
Wow.
I'm saying that there's so much going on, especially today, incredible stuff going on.
Which is this? What is this?
47A in Kotachiwadi.
Ah, yeah, right.
So
Yeah.
that gallery.
Sheila.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I'm-
yeah.
Sheila.
Sheila, yeah.
It's just so much happening.
It's so cool what you do, but Sunal, your point is right. I see at least my time of people doing it more, and not like, I can give you, for example, my last 2 years. I remember I was there when he was talking on stage. He was there when I think people will go and root for each other.
Yeah, true.
And that is very important.
Maybe
that we
more-
have to
more
change.
platforms.
We have to.
So
go
I suggest a creative adda, okay, which is like a salon.
Janta.
You create a salon, you create salon evenings or salon whatever. It could be in different places, and you
true.
invite people to actually talk about these things. So that's what I would recommend. And I have to say thank you so much for having me. I have learned so much. I have gained something from all of you being here.
Preeti and Sukesh had to leave. Why I wanted you to stay back is that's a very important question, which I wanted all of you to answer, which is, if there's anything that you feel is not wrong with the industry, anything that could change for the better or what you would like to change, what would it be? Any one thing.
I mean, I think most important is money, right? Like, there's no money in this business to get
copy
people
your
in.
answer.
Yeah, there's just absolutely no money, right? If you're starting out, at least when I was starting
Yeah,
out,
sure.
it's crazy. Like, you need to have certain amount of privilege at home to someone to back you for you to get into advertising. I don't know how the entry level salary right now is.
yeah.
It was very bad when we were getting in.
Yeah, sure.
So I think without money, you cannot motivate. Like, there's only so much passion can drive, but at the end of the day, you have to pay rent, especially if you're in a place like Bombay. So I think that in itself is a big barricade for a lot of interesting people to take this as a career choice, because if they don't have the backing at home, where it's not like clock is ticking right from day one, they cannot get into advertising and do this. So I don't know how the solution is, but
Well, the
there has to be
solution
more
is
money.
definitely around how we price creativity overall.
Yeah.
We've had 3 eras of pricing. My co-founder Gautam likes to keep talking about it in this way. We had 3 eras of pricing overall. First, you had your fixed, commission type thing. Then one Mr. David Ogilvy tried an experiment on a shell account in Houston, out of the Houston office of Ogilvy, and told them, hey, you know what, to retain the business, we'll shift this from a regular commission era thing to a fee,
Retainer,
right?
fee.
And as Oppenheimer said in the film, I thought this was one experiment, but what if it catches fire and burns the whole world? That's kind of what has happened. And now the entire industry is in a man-hours based costing model, most of it. I think we've been like, ever since Talented started, we've been one of the core things we've been trying to change is that we don't price ourselves that way. I don't think a bunch of shops have started going in that direction as well. Second, and of course, there's a tip of the iceberg, right? Pricing creativity is a whole ass issue, but the solutions are there if we just choose to see what we give a little differently. Secondly, comes down to also the prospect of long-term wealth in advertising. It doesn't exist. One of the ideas we ought to be borrowing way more from our friends in tech is to actually look at slightly more long-term wealth creation options for people in the industry. Talented started off as being employee-owned for that reason only. It's a funny thing, right? Like the joke is that the reason like a bunch of legacy agencies are named after their founders is Tabka financial structure was also that only. Right? The person whose name is on the door is the one who ultimately makes the most money out of. So we can't. We can learn from tech that when everyone makes a lot of money, a whole category kind of survives. I don't think the way we're currently structured doesn't allow for that. Outside folks in senior management, that's another thing to definitely.
You mean like share-based or ESOP?
Absolutely, yeah. So we need to have more ESOP-friendly, employer-friendly models because what we're expecting, we talk about attrition so much, right? One of the loveliest, most frequent topics, and yet simply the way we're financially structured doesn't allow for a huge majority of the agency to kind of reap the benefits out of that. That's something that needs to be changed at a fundamental level.
Some good thoughts. Have you done it in your agency, if I may ask?
Yeah, so we're kind of one of the first idea around Talented was for it to be employee-owned. In fact, the moment we started thinking about what a new shop after a decade-long stint at Web Chutney was in order to be able to create an agency that had this fundamentally in the way that it's structured.
And as you grow in numbers, you'll continue to be that.
Yeah.
And Devaiah, to your point, which is there were some legacy places which were considered to be school and are considered to be school. But you are right. I mean, that should not become the reason that somebody pays less, especially at a junior level.
I think
it
not
becomes
just at a junior level.
Detrimental.
Yeah, but like say, I don't know, the 7-8 years in my first stint of advertising, I genuinely never saw money. Like, it would just come in and it would just go. And I'm not like, partying or anything. It's just like basic expenses are gone, right? Like, so what is the motivation? And I know a lot of good people who were in advertising with me, moving on and to another industry because this was becoming a problem.
So most of our all of the problems we have in our industry, I think the root cause is the way we price.
Okay.
All of the problems, right from our ideas not being valued to issues like ageism, all of it comes from a mindset that we are in a conservative, low growth industry. It puts us in a slightly risk-averse mindset. If we're in a risk-averse mindset, we're going to assume that the pie can't grow bigger, and we're going to everything from undercutting to this.
But the industry is showing growth, good
it
growth.
Is, no, that's the thing. So
really
if more of us were to just be a little bullish about the fact that yes, there is a lot of money that can be made for us and everyone who kind of works with us, and we see overall a wonderful future for every discipline in the industry, right from creative people to business heads, to strategists. If we can stop the general inferiority complex and the cynicism that is so part and parcel of the way that we're supposed to work, then I don't see why this. And I'm not saying it'll work for everyone, but there will be pockets of inspiration that can be wonderful takeaways for everybody.
And to think that we are in a profession that can actually does not can. It actually makes
Makes it a
millions
client
of dollars
richer.
for the business.
Good ads matter.
Yeah, absolutely. Good ads matter.
How was it during your time, Sonal? I just want to understand, like, how a creative, like, I've read a lot of stuff that back then, the percentage of the media budget went to, like, the
Yeah,
advertising agencies. So the
initially.
creative directors were, like, actually, like, had, like, a good life and were loaded and living the high life. Is that true? Like, how much of it that is
No,
true?
I won't say loaded, but at a slightly senior level, you were well paid. Because agency made like 15% commission from the media
From the
budget.
media budgets.
Yeah. And also, don't forget the agency in terms of sheer number was also smaller. You created one ad which ran on TV and made the difference because there was no so much of proliferation.
Correct.
They're not like multi-screens, People didn't have phones. I'm talking of the back
90s.
then. When you're starting out, the money was still less, but at that time possibly maybe the inflation was not. Maybe the salaries have not kept up with the inflation. So it felt that one was happy.
Yeah, I think so. There's a
And
golden
then
age.
as you grew in advertising, you were taken care of,
Yeah.
Because there were lesser number of people, there was more money in advertising, so things were possibly easier. Yeah.
So just adding one point to what Devaiah said, right? And actually PG touched upon it. I feel, yes, of course, money is a tangible problem, right? But it's also connected to the way we look at our profession in the first place, collectively. I genuinely feel that we are so sorry about it so many times, or we're so apologetic about it. I'd written something about it's only advertising. I don't know why the word only is put ahead of that. That sentence has been said so many times.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, we're just so apologetic about the fact that it's commercial art. But it's a tough fucking job. Like, we're doing
It
it
makes it
every day.
tougher.
We're doing it with passion. It's a business of rejection. Everybody in the room has an opinion on your idea. And first and foremost, the worst of them are usually looking to see what is wrong with it, not what is right with it. So it is a difficult job. And in that, if it stops being cool, right? Like I'm saying, I didn't play the guitar when I was young. Advertising was my guitar. Coming here, writing for a bloody living.
Yeah, true.
See, we need to start believing that this is a cool profession, and
Absolutely.
hence you will do cooler things, cooler pieces of work.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that will probably stop the attrition and get more people to come and join the business because this could be their guitar too. And if that happens, and we can price it correctly, make everyone rich.
We have to start thinking that the work that we are producing, as it's running on millions of mobile screens and it's coming on TV, people are stopping to see some of that work and enjoying it and sharing it, and so
Getting impacted by it.
you're the power of God in a way.
No,
That you're creating something that's giving joy to people. So much of joy.
Ends up happening, no? And you see it because all our references or all the things that we look up to is one genre. I feel a lot of what I like to call borrowed greatness exists in advertising, right? There'll be a guy who will quote Faiz Ahmed Faiz from the back of his hand.
Yep.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you've done great advertising yet. Right? In that case, I feel if we start celebrating pop culture in general, that same guy who's reading Faiz Ahmed Faiz should also be watching a Govinda film, should also be watching
absolutely.
a reel, should also know who Ori is.
Absolutely.
And I feel if we are more rounded overall, and not this hoity-toity like, okay, I'll only watch movie.
Yeah, true.
Like, it's okay, sometimes it's fine, yeah, just watch that trash in the theaters. And that's what everybody else is watching.
I've always loved this fact about advertising. What the world might call trash is also a source of knowledge for us.
Yeah.
The fact that for us, Western classical to ghazals to Bhojpuri songs are as important, right? So I think we all need to maybe, if we don't like one genre versus the other, which is very fair enough because we're human beings, but as advertising people, we need to develop muscles that we start to enjoy all that.
You have to love everything.
Yeah, love everything.
I'll just take a minute on this. So Aggie had this lovely line, when you watch a movie, you pay for the movie. When you buy a book, read a book, you pay for the book. When you really like an ad, you pay for something else. And it's because of that gap between the fact that you wish you could pay for the ad. I love this ad so much. Can I? No, you have to buy the shampoo. No, I'll pay for you. Go buy the shampoo later. So that gap that exists between just the nature of the art form itself, which is why it makes us feel about it in very different perverted ways, right? And what it also means is, technically, most movies are shit, most music is shit, most books out there are shit. We just don't read them. We don't watch them. We don't need to hear all the shitty music. The trouble is, advertising's in your face. You have to see the shitty stuff.
Yeah, true.
There's no way in which you're escaping the shitty stuff. So obviously, I think by the nature of that, we're going to have to work much harder. But yeah, in that little caste system that exists between all of the art forms, no, we're currently somewhere near the bottom. We need to slightly see ourselves higher and higher.
But
And a very healthy ego
yeah,
is going to
yeah.
get us there.
You know, you are being a little harsh on yourself, PG,
Huh,
because I
right.
feel that art form, again, solely depends on the fact that it's down the ladder, depends on the work we produce, as you were
Absolutely,
saying now. Because great pieces of work are revered, as you know. When you see a really good piece of work, you share it, you really like it, you want to be, in a way, you get that feeling that you should have done it. There are a whole lot of things that happen if you are in the industry. But otherwise, you'll, as an outsider, you just enjoy it so much. And that joy that comes in.
No, I totally agree. I think a lot of us, the work that we are creating is hopefully trying to push it there only in the way that we are running our companies, etc. I think it's the same thing. It's a very healthy, constructive ego, channeled right, without any cynicism, while keeping everything else in mind is the slow but real path to get to wherever. I personally am a stupid consumer. I buy things if the ads are good. My car, which I bought last year, was because I really liked Tata's campaign in the IPL, and I just bought the car, right? So now usually, like, the thing is, like, you're damn stupid. You just liked the ad and you bought it. But in my head, I'm like, why is that wrong?
Yeah, true.
You can be in a world where
same thing happens to me all the time.
So that little linear trajectory of great ad, I will trust the product, ends up being a great product, is actually a magical experience.
Absolutely.
You save on research, you save on everything, you look at the advertisement, you buy it, that's paradise here.
Absolutely.
So,
Uma,
Yes.
anything that you would like to change within the industry, or?
When I think of this question, I can actually somehow only think of good things. I think it's a hardworking industry. It's got like a bunch of creative people who are doing their best. And our seniors and our peers have set and are setting such a great example of camaraderie and how this needs to be a community. I've also recently come back from a break, and I think that it's been so warm and welcoming. I have nothing to complain about. I only see promise. I only see potential. I only see celebration. I only see that how all of us can come together and celebrate and cheer for each other and
So
support
what I
each
meant
other.
actually was something that is wrong or something that should be done more of.
Something that should be done more of.
So maybe you're saying that celebration, camaraderie, more
Yeah,
of that.
I think we are a creative community, right, overall together. And then specifically the advertising creative community. So I think that it's, I have enjoyed through my career this camaraderie. I enjoy it even today. And that's what's special for me. And what is not wrong in which industry? Who is not solving something?
Yeah, true.
So why should I think about what's wrong? We are all solving it together in our own ways. And I just like, nothing comes
right.
to me. I'm just happy, you know.
You're right. Ramsam, you, any thoughts?
No, I'm in agreement with whatever everyone said, right from what Sukesh said, that it's time we celebrate ourselves, which is what is becoming the most dominant answer. And I also feel it is like, because it's evolved over the years, like, no, there are lesser workshops, there are lesser these kind of outings that you were talking about. It's become a very cold, stressful, like detached kind of an system, like where people come, okay, I've got to do an ad, I have to crack it. If okay, it got cracked, okay, I'm leaving. But what is actually it is that it's supposed to be such a sexy place to hang around in, like which is what earlier advertising agencies were used to die to go to office. Now it's like, oh, toxic and all this nonsense. Too many words are floating around.
Yeah, true.
Where it's supposed to be fun, man. I think therefore that, yeah, to celebrate everybody's work, not celebrate the work that went out, even the one which got rejected. It was a better idea, man. I think you should take out that guy for a drink or whatever, man. It's like, cool, dude. It's like, unfortunately, it didn't go out. Only 1 or 2 ads that can go out. But there's so much of creativity. People come with a lot of hope and passion and stuff like that. And there is a desire of everybody wanting to be appreciated. That is the core of every creative human being, and that has to be delivered. It has to be given to me. If he or she doesn't get it, they feel very demotivated and they start looking at other things. Where else can I go and self-express? Forget it, man. Don't make an ad. Paint the wall of this office. You know, do up the office, or write a blog for the office, or invent a topic. Just write about this. Celebrate every little form of creativity. And if they go home every day getting appreciated in something or the other, they will stay back. They'll love this place. They just want to come, give some kind of a self-expression, and feel like, hey, somebody thinks I'm creative. Somebody thinks what I did was cool. And
I think, like, this is the first time meeting Ram Sam in person. I was in Bangalore when he was heading Low Bangalore, when Adarsh also was there. And the chatter was that it is the most coolest place to work in. Like, everyone who was in Low Bangalore had a great Facebook album on a Monday morning, because these guys would have a great time on Fridays and Saturdays. And it was so known that the culture that you had over there was everybody partied hard, and automatically, like, I think they produced the best work in Bangalore. And I think that there is a correlation there, because you made office fun. So obviously people were having so much fun that it showed in the work as well, right?
yeah, I think culture is everything. Yeah, everybody is creative. Everybody has come over there because you saw something in them. Otherwise, they wouldn't be there. You just have to further that. And it may not be, put him in a brand which doesn't have that tone of voice which he expresses in. But if you can identify what that core is and saying, dude, man, this is damn good, maybe it can be written a different way and you kind of collaborate with somebody else. So everybody feels like they're a part of it, they contributed in some way or the other, at least in the junior level, that will kind of probably.
Both the phone pay work that you did and Dream 11, both of them have been some really interesting work. What is your point of view on celeb advertising? How have you been able to overcome some of those challenges?
See, honestly, Sonal, we don't look at it as celeb advertising in the first place.
Sure.
In a weird way, at least some of the brands that I have worked on before with Ramsam, during a different time, we used to be told that this is a celebrity we have on board, and now let's make interesting use of him or her.
Yeah, true.
Times have changed a bit, to some extent because of the work that Devaiah and Tanmay and team have done. But today, we still go into, at least to the best of our abilities, and with all honesty, we go into it idea first, insight first.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then see for impact, because you're also creating a lot of times for high stake stages like IPL, where each 20 seconder is going to cost a bomb. So you need that impact. So then that celebrity then comes and adds the impact. So a lot of times we've suggested a certain celebrity, and then that person is not available, or that person is just, let's say, not correct, and the client suggests somebody else, we come back with someone else. So it's not always started ki we said X and we landed up with X. At the same time, what we tend to do, and I think we've been a little, that's a sweet spot that we've hit, is when we have a celebrity on board, we try to do something meta with them. We don't try to just use them for just a pretty face or just the star power itself.
Sure,
right?
sure.
We try to get either in our writing or even in sometimes in the idea, we go back to the table and see, can we get something meta going here? Can people look at this ad and enjoy a side of the celebrity they've not seen before?
Yeah, true.
Right? Or they know of. And that's held us in good stead across brands like Licious and PhonePe and Dream 11. I don't necessarily like the word celebrity advertising, like as the way AFAX and Campaign India and all put it.
Yeah.
It's just advertising. It just happens to be
A
that you have
celeb in it,
you have a well-known actor whose meta-ness you can
Sure.
put back into the script.
Sure.
At least that's the way we look at it.
Sure. And you have to rush now for
We
appraisal.
do. I'm getting many calls and the thing is vibrating, I think. Sorry, Sonal.
Cool.
Happy birthday again.
Thank you so much, guys.
Happy birthday again. Yeah. So PG, to some of the disruptive work you've done, currently doing, and the past that you've done, one piece that I've really liked, because it must have involved a lot of collaboration on one level, and plus the fact that it's so under the radar, so disruptive, is the Unfiltered history tour, which obviously got rightfully so highly awarded, at Cannes and everywhere. How did that come about?
This was basically a month or so after the pandemic. I think we were just had started working from home and everything. So the good thing was that a bunch of us were history buffs. So one of our organic media diet is this show called Empires of Dirt by Vice. I was watching one of the episodes of Empires of Dirt, and which was around the looted artifacts in European museums, and the idea generally came from there. Pulling it off was another 15, 16 months.
I can imagine.
Between, yeah.
And you had lots of outside tech collaborators
Oh,
happening?
yeah. I think overall about over 100 people have been part of the creation of it. Includes several external partners and the ones who created the promo, etc. as well, Rooted Films, Web Dimension, lot of different partners, and then so in that sense it's a huge credit list. So one of the things I'm like kind of happy about that in terms of whatever, like that idea has really done well for everyone who's been part of it.
Very good.
Right? So if you've been part of Unfiltered, some, like, you know, a bunch of us who are part of it, we were like, okay, cool, this is great momentum. We started an agency. A bunch, some of them decided, hey, this is great momentum. I'm going to apply to school abroad or apply to, you know, this could be, you know, a good, like, you know, stepping stone for them to probably talk an agency in Europe or America and be like, hey, I was part of the Unfiltered team. Do you think so? That became a conversation starter there. For the external partners, it brought them a ton of, so everyone who's been involved has been impacted positively in some way. So in that sense, I think that's a decent, you know, legacy for that campaign to leave behind.
So whenever these kind of pieces are created, they live much beyond where they are supposed to live. The repercussions, the joy that it gives, the memories, the everything, you know, and the longevity of some of these ideas. Yeah.
Also, we also, like, therefore have to beat it very soon.
Yeah.
That's also the, I think one of the things that, like, he keeps, like, I'm sure getting teased about this as well. Like, tell me if I'm wrong. He must have a very bittersweet relationship with the Dravid film. There's a lot of, hey, Raul, like, hey, some 20 pieces have come after that, dude. Like, and equally good, if not more, right? So I think it's the best kind of, you know, thing for to do something really nice and then be like, okay, cool, and it should be beaten at some point as well. So it has meant that, like, in terms of object repatriation, the largest happened in the last 2 to 3 years. So maybe this has something small to do with that. So if so, fantastic.
Devaiah, you started from a like mainstream agency, which obviously agency briefs comes with a lot of restrictions. Then you went on to AIB, which was absolutely unfiltered. You were writing comedy. Yeah. You did AIB and you also wrote web series and all, right?
No, I mean, I did not write.
Yeah.
I just got
But
back
basically,
to
yeah.
journalism,
So on AIB, it was mostly comedy.
Yeah.
That's what you've been doing.
Yeah.
Now with Moonshot, it's again in a way back to advertising.
Yeah.
So what of AIB's learning or that comedy writing learning you are bringing here, because you are now working with brands and some big brands, to keep those boundaries, to keep to brief, or do you give yourself really loose briefs, or how does it work?
I think the biggest learning at AIB was, how to capture the attention in the attention economy, because you have to write a specific way for people to come watch the video and share the video and, sort of like it. So you optimize all your writing and thought process into how to get a comment, share, and a like. So I think that learning is holding us, I think, in good stead in this innings of advertising, because most of the writing that we see at AIB, we used to write like about 12, 14 hours a day, and every video was written like probably 10 drafts, a minimum 8 to 10 drafts, each 12 to 14 pages. So the writing discipline is in, and also right now, like how we judge the ideas is the first step, okay, before like there's a brand filter and everything else is, when we think of an idea or we're writing something, like, okay, what will people say when they hit the share button, right? Like when this piece of content is out there, what are people going to say? What are people going to type? When they
as a
hit the
comment while sharing.
Yeah, as they hit the share button,
While
or
they
as
share.
they hit the quote RT, what is the tweet going to be, right?
Nice.
Like, and if we are having trouble thinking about it, then there is a problem in the idea. So I think what AIB helped is, this learning of sort of writing for the attention economy. And somehow, thankfully, everyone's attention spans are decreasing.
Yeah.
So you have to be you have to hack the attention part of it more seriously. Thankfully, because of the work and because of what happened to us in the last 3-4 years, I feel brands are a little more lenient towards us, where they come and give us a playing field, and they are okay if we break the brief. They are okay if we sort of, are not like
So
sticking
because
to.
of the very nature of your
Correct.
agency,
Yeah.
the nature of your name and
Yeah.
your past,
Yeah.
the clients are more lenient with you.
I feel so. Like,
Which
I
is
feel
good.
so, like,
which is
compared,
natural
which
also,
is brilliant actually. Like,
which is a great
yeah.
great place to be in.
Yeah, so that helps a lot, right? Like, I feel that because of the sort of the pedigree in this writing, like, we can also sell to clients easier.
Ah, true.
Right? Like, it's not that we are the only ones getting good ideas or whatever. I think everyone is getting good ideas, but the problem
Is the selling, yeah.
selling the good idea, and then the client's conviction in backing the good idea through execution.
And so, for
Right?
example, in Cred, what kind of brief did you get, and did you the way you responded to it, and
See, Cred was very
or any
simple. There was
any
a-
interesting story around it, or
I think
memory?
the problem statement, right? Like, okay, this is a credit card payment app. You pay your points and you get rewards. So that was as simple
Okay.
and as straight line as a brief you get.
And plus, it was a new brand, so there was not
Correct.
any
There's
legacy.
no
also.
baggage.
Yeah.
So, like, usually, like, I feel for us the best work happens when there's a problem statement that is as simple as a one-liner, and now say, like, go do it. And then the execution style and the ideas that you kind of approve or go down the path of depends on, like, your brand tone and brand voice. So I think with Cred it was that, and obviously with Cred, like, the client was great, like, he just absolute freedom. So there was, the scary part is when the client gives you so much freedom, is that you are responsible for your own screw up. You can't
yeah,
blame
true.
anyone else.
Yeah, true.
That if it's a bad piece of ad or content, you can't blame that, like, hey, there was too much. And obviously we had, like, a great director. I think Ayappa
Yeah, true.
is just a genius. So there's so many times we would, like, we would write just lines and instances and just give it to him, and then the film would come out. It was like a printing machine where the film would come out great. So I think it was a good client, great director, and full independence.
Ramsam, you have been writing all your life and writing some really interesting and fantastic commercials, pieces of work. But and from there, moving into direction, and now writing and direction. How has one fed the other, and how does one continues to feed the other?
I've seen a lot of my other friends who moved into direction. It's like there are a lot of very good advertising filmmakers right now who are earlier in the agency. And actually, even I left the agency to become a film director, ad film director, because I'd been writing a lot of stories. Not that I got fed up of advertising, it is just that this was there in my pending list. It was not just ad films, I wanted to direct films and all that stuff. So I went and became a full-fledged ad filmmaker to begin with, and was pursuing the other stories. But I started missing writing. And I kept thinking to myself, why should somebody necessarily leave writing to become a director? Who said, who made this rule?
What a simple question.
I like
Simple
this
truth.
and I like that, so can I just do both? And God has been kind that I am managing to do both. Yeah, when I'm directing, I want to write. When I'm writing, I want to direct. So that happened.
It must be helping you in the way you present to the client, or
Yeah,
present
certainly,
the,
yes. Certainly, yes. Also, you a little more prudent, because you know when you're writing a 30-second, you know what can accommodate in a 30-second. So you're a little more sharp on that. You know how to filter your lines, because the timing comes naturally to you. A screenplay comes naturally to you. You know how to avoid the cliches. You're like more scared, like, dude, if I write like this, I think it might end up becoming like this. Whatever you do, whatever great lighting, whatever you do casting, you can guess it better.
Yeah. And many youngsters who want to join advertising, and many youngsters who've graduated from art colleges or media schools would be watching this. What do you guys look for when you hire an absolute youngster, somebody fresh out of college?
I said this in somewhere else a little bit, but talented is not a good place for freshers. We're not a good place to to do the predominantly learning.
Okay.
The ideal kind of candidate is someone who's probably spent a little bit of time, like a year or two, but ideally someone who has a lot of ideas in their head. They've not been able to get it done in the place that they're in, and they want to come to Talented and vomit. And and essentially put all of those things out there. Ideally, we want to be able to say that, within the first year that you're here, you will already start having a portfolio that you're kind of happy with, right? So it is we need the ideas to already kind of be there, at least in some shape or form, or the thinking to kind of be there. So in that sense, not the best place for freshers, but hopefully a good place for anyone who spent a year or two in the industry so far.
I think it's just boring answer. Basically, like willingness to work really hard, like really hard. You need to put in a lot of hours because if you're a fresher, you're kind of learning on the job. Because this is such a specialized field at the same time, it's very generalist. So I think working really hard and just natural curiosity to like keep coming up with ideas and bouncing it off. I think it's just that hard work.
Spotting hunger, maybe,
Yeah, spotting hunger.
which actually results in
hard
ability
work.
to do hard work.
Yeah.
I think so. Just on a flip side as well, it's also fair to tell the youngsters what they can expect from the agency at the same time. We expect a lot, but I think the expectation of anyone today starting out or in their early few years, etc., very sensible expectations. What do they want? Opportunities to diverse creative opportunities for which you're credited fairly, paid fairly, without burning out.
Yeah.
This is pretty much the expectation
And
of
a culture that celebrates, not just makes
absolutely.
you
That's
which you were
the
saying.
overall credit culture that kind of
yeah.
comes with that, right? So these feel like the broad expectations of any good person in the industry, most of them.
Uma?
I think for me it's just like hunger is like you said, and like it's so common. I mean, like you have to start from there.
Right.
Are you wasting time or you really want to do something? Your passion, there's no replacement for passion. Especially in a creative industry, you put so much of yourself. Because it's so personal, there has to be that passion about what is bringing you here and hunger to deliver. And then, some sort of investment in now that you've chosen this. So like, what have you done to be familiar with what you're walking into, or like how do you display that you're interested and hungry about this and passionate about this? So I think it leads from there, and then a lot of things fall in place once you come with that kind of an approach and hunger and study and investment in it.
Yeah, just to add to that, and patience, yeah.
Patience.
Yeah.
I spoke about it earlier also. There's that restlessness that's there right now. That is
How can you
something
keep
that
the restlessness and still be patient?
Yeah, you keep the restlessness, you keep the
Yes.
hunger.
Yeah.
But restlessness, not in terms of that, oh, how can my work get rejected, then upping and leaving, I think this is my theory. As we were growing up, right, we were growing up a little more resilient. That thoda resilience is missing. So that any youngster that's watching it right now, come with hunger, come with passion, and come with that resilience. Ki taking rejection on your chin, and to have the feeling and the learning,
faith.
and the learning that every rejection is also, it's a very cliched thing to say, but sometimes these things which are actually useful become cliches because they are repeated because they are useful. That's why they become cliches. So the fact that every rejection also is the fact that you've created it, the next thing that you create has to be better because you got that much more practice. So even rejection giving you practice for you to become better. Ramsam, what would you look for when you hire somebody in script room?
We don't hire actually. We collaborate with everybody.
Correct, yeah, true.
In their independent way.
But suppose you were to take an intern or a fresher.
Yeah, so like I think the first thing I get attracted to is how interesting does she or he think. That is the first point. Like, hey, dude, that's a very nice, interesting way of thinking about anything, whatever. It could not be an ad, it could be whatever it is, whatever they have written, any work that they've done. And secondly, I want to just check whether they are interested in advertising itself as a subject, because they are self-expressing in some way or the other. So if you're interested in movies, then you would want to put your skill out there for that. Or if you're interested in music, you would want to, you have the same writing skill, you can become a lyricist. Do you like ads, like generally? Because I find that people, they get thrown off by advertising a little too soon. It probably is that resilience and all those other things. But if you love the subject matter of advertising as a concept itself, then then you would be wanting to put your skill for that and then investigate all kinds of genres of.
If we can actually, like, if the first, everything we've spoken about before this question, right, was about like the industry as we know it and everything that I think if all of those things were actually able to make much progress on it, we can thoroughly expect better from everyone who's coming into the industry.
Sorry, if we were to?
If we actually get our house in order on a lot of the subjects
yep.
that we've spoken about before, I think we can happily expect more from anyone who's coming in. I think a lot of their, a lot of the uncertainties of anyone coming into advertising right now is, are they going to walk the talk? Like I'm seeing it. Are the role models and the veterans and the senior management of the industry actually going to do the things that only they can do? I think if we prove to them that we can, then they will keep their end of the bargain. The kind of talent that's actually out there is immaculate. They just need to kind of know and trust that the entire industry has got its plot going in the right direction, and I think there'll be a wonderful succession plan whenever they get to.
Very good. So we've had actually a very long conversation.
Yeah.
And candid and honest. And we also spoke very candidly about what we feel is wrong. I think Indian advertising right now is creating really, really great work. Yeah. There are certain pockets that need to be taken care of. And I think it's discussions like this, roundtables like this, and some of the ideas that came, that when we start to meet more often, when we start to celebrate the work together, I'm sure things will absolutely continue to improve. So what I'll say now is thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you, Sonal.
Thank you, Sonal. It was
doing
a
this
What a
lovely session.
lovely session, yeah.
Yes.
And thank you, Good Ads Matter, for this roundtable, for providing this platform for the chief creative officers and writers to meet and talk on advertising. Thank you very much.